uwager.lv, sportsbook, and casino. Sign up today at uwager.lv, the premier online sportsbook, taking wagers since 1998. The most player-friendly lines, weekly juice specials, and a true dime line in MLB. Unique casino platforms with thousands of games. Play poker, high stakes, low stakes, or tournament play. uwager.lv, what we offer. Free same-day payouts. Customer service and wagering support, 24/7, year-round. Free monthly rebates on your action and daily casino rebates. Contests, free bets, best bonuses, and giveaways. Generous referral program. Get an 80% free play bonus on your first deposit, up to $1,000. Sign up today, and use promo code SPORTSWEB. Remember, you can't win if you don't play.
Are you an athlete or professional struggling with life or career transition? Life isn't always easy, but hope is always present. Best Hope Counseling will help you move forward. For nearly a decade, licensed marriage and family therapist Larry Baumgartner has helped clients empower change and discover solutions using a solution-focused therapy approach. Conversations will focus on what you desire to change, not just the problems that brought you into counseling. From anger to depression or other emotions, Best Hope Counseling is there for you. Contact Larry personally on his direct line at 727-946-1346. Again, 727-946-1346 for a telehealth appointment in Florida and Minnesota, or in person an appointment in Minnesota. Take time out and begin your game plan to reconnect, rebuild, and restore happiness in your life. BestHopeCounseling.com. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the Evolution of Sports Talk Television here on a happy
Hump Day
edition of the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake. How do we start off this show? As your Tampa Bay Rays represented in the All-Star game. And of course, you Tampa Bay Buccaneer fans want to talk about the creamsicle today. I got it on. We got, I want to get your comments tonight. Before we do that, bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. On tonight's show, we'll have the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty, former coach, scout, and now media member of Night Sports Productions and Amped Up Sports. At 9:30, we will have Mr. Larry Baumgartner, counselor, of course, newest sponsor here of the Sports Web. And then at 10 o'clock, we will have Ralph Williams, bodyguard of the Berg. No Harry the Greek tonight because he decided to watch Transformers more than meets the eye. And speaking of eyes, obviously the announcer in Seattle during the All-Star game has to be blind because he couldn't introduce Shane McClanahan and Wander Franco. Hello? I mean, honestly, how much more can the Rays get disrespected? Seriously, I mean, and they showed out. It really doesn't matter because I hope the announcers, I hope Major League Baseball, I hope everybody discounts this team going forward in the second half. I really do. And then once you discount this team, watch them win the World Series this year. How about that? So we'll talk with Leo Haggerty here about how the Rays represented, of course. Randy Arozarena nearly won the home run derby contest. Yandy Diaz had a home run last night to put the American League on the board as they lost to the National League. And Wander Franco nearly tied the game up. Definitely want to hear from you Rays fans out there. And, of course, you Bucs fans. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. The other number, in case you can't get through, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. What do you think of the creamsicle? It's just that simple. Do you like it? Do you not like it? I know that Levante David talked about how it was going to be a little bit different. Not really too different, a little bit lighter, if you will. So I tell you what, let's go out to my co-host here, the legend himself. Here we go. Former coach, scout, and now media member of Night Sports Productions and, of course, Amped Up Sports, Mr. Leo Haggerty. Welcome to the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. And let's start out with the Tampa Bay Rays. Your general thoughts on how they represented it, especially Randy Arozarena and the home run derby contest. Welcome to the Evolution.
Well, thank you for having me on, Peter. And I'm not on the couch. I'm on the porch here in Charleston, South Carolina. It's a little bit cooler than Dallas, Texas was. Man, I'm telling you, you talk about hot. It was bad. But Arozarena, great showing in the home run derby. Let's hope it doesn't affect him because when you see a lot of these guys, they just can't get off that swing.
Yeah.
And I can remember Abreu from the Phillies won it, didn't hit a home run the rest of the year. I mean, it was crazy. And it was nuts. So, yeah, kudos to him. And by the way, Peter, memo to the other three professional sports, hockey, basketball, football. Give up your all-star game because Major League Baseball has got it under control. Exciting, went down to the last pitch. It wasn't faked like you're seeing it with, hockey and football. And again, I get it because you're getting hit in those sports. But basketball, the next guy that plays defense in the all-star game will be given an award. So, you know what? Kudos to Major League Baseball. They finally had a game live up to its potential, live up to the hype. Book it, Dano.
Yeah, book it, Dano, and somebody needs to be booked in jail for getting future, young superstar Wander Franco and Shane McClanahan, who, by the way, hopefully he could stay healthy, knock on wood, because most likely that's your Cy Young winner. And for all intents purposes, the announcer completely and totally screws up to not announce them during All-Star introductions. Make some sense of this once again. Major League Baseball just disrespecting the Tampa Bay Rays for no reason.
Peter, no idea. I mean, that's a major faux pas to not introduce. Not now. Franco was an add-on. I get that. Rosarena was a starter.
Yeah.
How can you forget to introduce a starter in the All-Star game? I mean, and I can't believe somebody didn't get down to the announcer and say, "Hey, whoa, you're missing two people." So that and they should have gone on and said, "Well, excuse me, I overlooked two people," and they should have done that. But to completely ignore them, man, oh man, that just lit a fire under the Tampa Bay Rays. Peter, what do you think?
Well, I tell you right now, and you look at it, a lot of Rays fans are like, what do we got to do? And I said, just ignore the national media, because we're there for you here on the Sports Web, and we're on with the legend himself, Leo Haggerty, and we're used to this. I always talk about the badge of courage of being a Tampa Bay sports fan. We're like the little geeks and nerds that get made fun of in middle and high school. I know I used to get made fun of, and that's the great thing about being a Tampa Bay sports fan, because once you win, it's that much sweeter, and I feel like the Rays have every opportunity to do that. With that being said, the stadium situation was talked about yesterday by Rob Manfred, and he told reporters about expansion until the situations with Oakland, of course, Tampa Bay, get cleared up. There's not going to be any expansion. He said relocation papers are being started for the A's to go to Las Vegas. I don't know what that situation, because all you hear is they're going to Vegas, but yet there's still not a done deal. And then he says this about Tampa: it's complicated. Speaking of a relationship in middle of high school, it's complicated. What do you mean it's complicated? How many years does it take the Tampa Bay area to come up with the stadium with Major League Baseball's approval? It's complicated. I mean, what are we watching here? Facebook? What I would say about the Rays is that they have stayed engaged with governmental entities throughout the Bay Area. I think that the conversations throughout the region have moved into a more concrete zone. So basically, the conversations before then were complete nonsense. That's what you're trying to tell me here, Rob Manfred. In terms of the conversations that are going on, I said it was hopeful that there was going to be real progress there in 23. I remain hopeful. I think we all remain hopeful that, first, you never talk about the stadium situation ever again. And second, can somebody build a damn stadium somewhere? Your thoughts on these comments by, once again, it's complicated, Leo. It's complicated.
Peter, you want to know why it's complicated? No one is going to build an owner a stadium and not expect him to pony up some money. Those days are over. That ship has sailed. Again, you're not going to, if you put it on the ballot for 100% tax money for a stadium for the Rays, Peter, it would go down faster than the Titanic. And that's not a good thing.
No.
It's got to be a 50-50 proposition. The ownership has to put up 50%. The community then, the state, the county, local, they'll put up the other 50. But if it's not 50-50, you're talking 75-20, that's not happening either.
No.
Again, Peter, remember, when the Bucs passed that stadium issue, it was 50.1 to 49.9. It wasn't something that just ran away with it. And again, the Glazers got the sweetheart deal.
Sure.
But those days, again, where are you moving to in baseball? The fact that Oakland's going to Las Vegas, okay, where are they going to play?
Right.
Is there a stadium that's, indoors? Because it's going to be 117 tomorrow in Vegas. I'd like to play baseball in that.
Yeah, I don't want to play baseball now.
This guy sucks.
I mean, I barely want to go outside. Thank God I work inside here. We got Mr. Leo Haggerty, legend himself, former Coach Scott, and now media member of Nine Sports Productions, Amped Up Sports. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake. giving you something to think about. Let's go out to our webheads here, our commenters. How the hell the Rays get disrespected at the All-Star game? I mean, that's the tribal troll right there.
Acknowledge me.
He's a Cubs fan. He kind of hates the Rays, and even he was shaking his head and saying, how can they get disrespected? So great comment by Roger Shue. Hi, Troy. I guess Troy's not in here. Let's go, Peter Blake. Let's go. Let's go! Roger says, hi, Coach Prime Rib. Roger again, Coach past his prime. Goodness gracious, sitting, I guess, doing something there. Good evening, Ben.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go out to Roger. Creamsicles should be worn every game. Get rid of the pewter and black. First and foremost, it is not pewter and black.
This guy sucks.
It's pewter and red. We'll get back to that in a moment, Leo, shall we? Roger, where's the Greek? He's not here. He's watching Transformers. You should transform into a great guest. Thank you, Peter. You're welcome, Ralph.
Oh, yeah.
Christopher Cole. Hey, everyone. What's going on? Christopher, how you doing?
Oh, yeah.
Sitton says, I love it. Great. Thank you. Appreciate you. Roger Shue again. Peter, calm down. Justin Steele was amazing for your Chicago Cubs. What up, Broom? What's going on, Brandon?
Oh, yeah.
Sitton says, I love the throwback. Okay, once again, we're going to take those comments all night long. Text in, call in. If I got to hear crickets, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to lose my mind. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. It's the evolution of sports talk television. Roger says, shows what Major League Baseball thinks of the Rays. Absolutely, Christopher Cole. National media is a joke. You damn right it is. Bobby Rain said, Stu did say a stadium deal had to be done by December 23rd, right before Christmas. Hopefully there's not coal in the stocking by then. Over, under, you think that deal gets done, Leo, really? I think it gets done with St. Pete because they had the redevelopment money, and I think that's where the Rays are at. Do you think this finally gets done by December 23rd or earlier? Over, under?
Peter, Stu's going to have to come off his high horse and say, hey, I'm going to pony up some money. He wants that thing built with all taxpayer money. Peter, that's not going to happen. So, again, I think it's not a matter now of where it's going to be, is how much is ownership going to pony up to the building of a new stadium.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to read this comment. CSB brother here, Cole Pfeiffer, I'm so used to this treatment by the national media. And again, take it as a badge of courage, excuse me, if I could say that, a chip on your shoulder as being a Tampa Bay sports fan, because once you win a World Series, once you win a Stanley Cup, once you win a Super Bowl championship in your home stadium, it's that much sweeter.
You know what, Peter? Here's the amazing thing. If a New York, Chicago, or Los Angeles team had the kind of record the Rays did, it would be the lead and the follow-up and the entire story on ESPN.
Yeah.
That's the problem. They don't want to recognize the Rays, period.
No, they don't want to recognize the Rays because they spend less money, and I've been critical of them, and I hopefully they go all in at the trading deadline so they can shut everybody up, including myself, about spending money, finally spend some money here, win a championship. And I feel like if you win a World Series, then the community will say, you know what? We can't lose this team. We can't lose this team anyway. You don't want to lose them. But maybe you get the wheels in motion. I think it's more of the ownership trying to come halfway. That's what it's all about. Now, according to CBS sportsline.com, and we'll get to the Bucs in a moment because I know everybody wants to talk about the throwbacks and everything else, but they're saying the most likely things are things that could happen in the second half during the trading deadline. Marcus Stroman, who ranks among the top 20 trade candidates, who is 42-47, and that's Chicago right now, 6.5 games out of the postseason spot, could be traded to the Tampa Bay Rays. Their bold prediction says the Cubs will probably have to eat a little money to make it work. We talked about this, $21 million. They may only ask for a prospect, but you look at the Rays' injuries. McClanahan, somewhat banged up. Hopefully he comes back the second half. Tyler Glass now left the game early with cramping. Hopefully he doesn't have any more cramping, any more injuries, because you need Glass now. Zach Eflin has definitely been the stopper. Of course, you lost Drew Rasmussen, Jeffrey Springs, Shane Baz, Josh Fleming, got Taj Bradley, Yanni Chirinos. So what do you say? Do you think that's not a bold prediction? That could be a possible prediction in the second half to get a Marcus Stroman.
Can I quote the great scholar Joe Madden on this, Peter?
Please do.
I asked Joe Madden, how much of baseball is pitching? He said 90%.
Mm.
And of course, Peter, me, the good journalist, said, what's the other 10%? You know what Joe Madden said? Pitching.
Mm.
You can never have enough pitchers. I got a feeling if the Rays are in the hunt for the best record in baseball, they're going to add a pitcher. Just a matter of who.
Sure.
That's the key.
All right, good stuff there. And, of course, some of the prospects they may give up. Infielder Curtis Mead and Kyle Mazzardo, who's definitely killing it right now. And Jonathan.
And you know what, Peter? No one talks about the Rays minor league system, man.
Well, it's
It is
plentiful.
packed.
They've
It is packed.
got so many prospects that they can give up. And this is what I continue to go. And fans say, you can give up a prospect. Okay, I go back to, I don't know, say about 5-10 years ago. You could have gotten Cliff Lee. And you don't want to give up Desmond Jennings. Okay, Desmond Jennings, not the next Carl Crawford. Just because you have all these prospects doesn't necessarily mean they're all going to be superstars at the end of it. Let's move on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Everybody getting excited about the creamsicle. I feel a certain way about it because when I watched the Bucs, they lost a lot of games with the Winking Pirate and Bucko Bruce. So I feel a certain way. And then you watch that video today and you see why the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and their media team gets it. Because you have Derek Brooks and he's acting like he's the godfather of it all, the passing of the torch. And he's talking about the steep history or the history there in the 70s with Leroy Selman and how they're going back. And you have Mike Alstott going into these players, Mike Evans, Antoine Winfield Jr., they're all going into a bar, and Mike Alstott there is the bouncer, and you have Rondé Barber as the bartender there, and you have Bert Kreischer as the DJ taking off his shirt. Everybody's, excited about this whole aspect of it, and then you see the uniforms, and you're like, yeah, there it is. That there was more than losing with this team when it comes down to. When you look at it, you look at their history. Before the Carolina Panthers, before the Jacksonville Jaguars, they were one of the fastest teams in NFL history to make it to the playoffs with those jerseys. So your thoughts, I get it, it's jerseys, but what did you think of the whole presentation today by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Well, you know what, Peter? People forget that they beat the Eagles in Tampa to go play the Rams, and I was in town. Luckily, we were playing. I was coaching basketball at Newberry College. We had a game. I have never seen a town so upbeat than they were that weekend. And I'll tell you what, that phantom holding penalty they called and the touchdown pass to Jimmy Giles, I mean, it had been 9-7. Now it's a whole different animal. But, yeah, I'll tell you what, Peter, it's time to bring the creamsicle out of the freezer and put it on the football field.
No, a lot of fans would argue that jersey should be on more than one game a year. What do you say? I like the new uniforms. I like the pewter and red. I like the pirate. I love it. I love what the Bucs did. How do you feel about it? Should it be more than one game a year, Leo?
One and done, Peter. You want it to be special. You want it to be special.
Okay.
You don't want it to be 2 or 3 games, but you want it to be special, and that's what it should be.
See, that's the reason why he's a legend, ladies and gentlemen. It's Leo Haggerty, former Coach Scout and now media member of Night Sports Productions, Amped Up Sports. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Brian Ford had this to say, of course, the Bucs Chief Operating Officer. Well, I'll tell you what, we asked for calls. We're going to get calls here, Leo Haggerty. Let's go out to Mr. Curtis. Curtis leading it off here on the Sports Web. You're on with yours truly, along with the legend himself, Leo Haggerty. What do you think of the Rays? And, of course, what do you think about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the throwback creamsicle uniforms?
I'm gonna touch on the Rays first. And, baseball season, the All-Star game and stuff is going on. This is when I'm finna dig into baseball.
Dig into it, my friend.
I love baseball season. Now, I'm not a Rays fan, but I do pay attention to the Rays because they're still my home team.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay, I have respect for these guys.
Right.
You know, they
We
have
know
a
you're
young
a Red
team.
Sox honk and a fan, and
Yeah.
that's okay. But
Yep.
you just saved yourself there by
Yep.
saying it's your
Yep.
hometown team and you pay
Now.
attention. Yes.
Two things that bothers me about the Rays.
Sure.
Number one, they groom these guys, all-star caliber players, $100 million type dollar players.
Mm-hmm.
We never keep any of them. There's no. Who was the last face of the franchise for this team?
I would say
Evan
Evan
Longoria.
Longoria and Carl Crawford at one point. Yes.
Okay, that was how long ago?
Yeah, you're exactly right, and that thing is gonna come up again, Leo, because you saw it the other night where Randy Arozarena with the home run derby contest, with the potential. We know this kid can be a superstar, but his agent is Scott Boras. He ain't cutting you no deal if you're Tampa Bay.
Nope.
No, not at all. And you know what, Peter? Everybody talks about how the Rays are doing it on the cheap. I have to disagree on that. They got guys in there. No one's forcing anybody. There's no gun to anybody's head to sign a contract.
Sure.
Their scouting department is so far ahead of everybody else's in getting the right guys. I mean, Wander Franco, he's making a pretty good piece of change right now.
Absolutely.
And
$186 million. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you're going to look at Randy Arozarena. He's going to get a good payday.
Right.
And if I'm a Arozarena, why do I want to go anywhere else? If the money is comparable, and when I say comparable, if Tampa Bay offers you $20 million and Philadelphia offers you $25, that $20 million is worth more because you know what, Peter? No state income tax. People need to realize that. The problem is agents do not get that cut. They get 4% of the contract, and they want to kick it up. So again, when the Rays are negotiating, they need to make that perfectly clear. Okay, you want to go to Chicago. I go back to Javi Bullen. When Javi Bullen went from here to the Blackhawks, made more money, lost more money when he got there because of tax situation.
There you go. A little agent speak there by the legend himself, Leo.
I want to ask both of you guys a question, Leo and Peter.
Sure.
How long have y'all been in and around Tampa Bay sports and in all the sports?
All my life. All my life. It's all I know. My dad sat me down when I was 8 years old and said, listen, you're a Bucs fan, and any other team that comes here, if there's a baseball team at the time that comes here, which you didn't have, so you either had the Cubs or the Braves, because that was all that was on cable. You had no streaming service, but you were a Tampa Bay fan of the Bucs, of the Lightning, of the Rays, or you left the house. And then he also doubled down and said Florida State over Florida all day long. Or
that's brutal.
I can listen. I grew up in a Miami Hurricanes house, so I understand.
Well, I'm sorry about that.
But Leo, how long have you been around Tampa Bay sports?
1987, and I was hired as the Blesto scout for the Bucs in 1989.
There you go.
And see, wait, let me say this. I was born in 86, so I know he's been doing it for 36, 37 years. Okay? So what I'm trying to get you guys, my point of asking you guys that question is, how good is the morale in Tampa Bay when we have winning teams in this area?
Amazing. It's second to none. It's Tampa Bay.
Jump on the bandwagon. And again, guys, I'm going to give my daughter, Kate, kudos. Her and her husband, Daniel, bought a sports bar. Peter, you've been there.
Yes, I have. Very nice.
Belmar Saloon. Bought it in the middle of the pandemic, and I go, what were you thinking? Guess what happened, guys?
Tom Brady.
The Bucs won the Super Bowl. The Lightning won 2 Stanley Cups, went to a third. The Rays went to the World Series and went to the playoffs. Sports bar, man, that place exploded even during the pandemic. So, yeah, this place will support. Curtis, were you at the boat parade?
That's my exact point about the Rays. This team will be so supported if this guy just gives us a face of the franchise.
It's already being supported this year. I mean, the attendance is up 54% because they are finally showing the ability to cater to the fans. They have done everything they can to lower ticket prices, to Randy Land, to do all these different.
So many times I want to take my family to the Red Sox games, but you going if I'm talking about going to the Red Sox game and the Rays game, you talking about paying like a third of my rent every month. Like, whoa.
Yeah, they do kick it up for those primetime games, but you know what, Curtis? I'm going to tell you, my wife and I went as civilians to Game 4 with the Houston Astros. And when Kiermaier hit the cutoff and they threw out at the plate, I have never heard a stadium that loud, ever. I mean, bing, bang, bong, and there it is. Hey, and that place erupted with 32,000 people.
Yep.
So, yeah, it'll take a little bit of time. But you know what?
And listen, I believe in the Rays. I just want them to. I want the world to know the Rays. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
Like the people knew the Bucs a little bit. People knew the Bucs. Saints fans, Eagles fans, Carolina fans, Atlanta fans. People knew the Bucs.
Especially Eagles fans, by the way, closing down the vet in 2003 in the NFC Championship game.
And I was there, buddy. I was there.
I will tell both of y'all this. I remember Monday night a couple years ago. This was a while ago, actually.
Right.
The Bucs were playing the Colts on a Monday night. This is not the Peyton Manning game. This was another game. I believe LeGarrette Blount was the running back for us at the time.
I think you're right.
And I think Curtis Painter was the backup quarterback because that was the year Peyton Manning hurt his neck. Okay. John Gruden got brought into the Ring of Honor that year. That game.
Yes.
Okay. The Bucs were doing terrible record. The Colts, terrible record. But it was a Monday night game, and Gruden was getting honored in the Ring of Honor. That game was sold out in minutes.
Well, I mean, and that's what this is what this town is about. Say whatever you want to about their fan base, but they're definitely about the history.
And guys, let's be honest.
Yeah.
If you win, they will come.
They will absolutely come. Curtis, we got to definitely run. Use that second call, my friend. We got guests coming on here. Sit back, relax, my friend. Really quick, you like that creamsicle or not?
I love the creamsicle.
All right.
I think people got away from it because of the losing tradition.
Right.
But I'm sorry. I want to tell you something. Sapp, Brooks, Lynch, Barber, all those young guys, when they came here between 94, 95, 96, those guys changed the tradition of that team. And you know what? The creamsicle, no matter what happens, will always be a part of this team. Bring it back. It needs to come back. It needs to be back as often as possible.
All right.
Hey, Curtis, let me tell you real quick before you go. The person who changed the culture with the Bucs was Chris Berman. Because Chris Berman started calling them the Yucks. Yep. And when they went out to San Diego, Brooks and Sapp heard it on the news, and they looked at each other, and Warren Sapp told me this. He said, "We're drawing the line in the sand. The Yucks are no more," and that's what happened.
Yep.
All right.
Well, you remember his. I'm sorry, Peter. Remember on America's Game when they did the Super Bowl video? That's what Sapp said when he got drafted to the Yucks, the worst team in the NFL at that time.
Yep.
Love it.
So him being from right there in Central Florida, they used to see he said they couldn't give the Bucs tickets away. So,
There you go. All right, Curtis,
Peter,
appreciate the call.
I'm going to let you guys go. I'll call you later.
All right, man. Sounds good. Let me give you the Ric Flair right there. I know we got you on a pitch count tonight. Go ahead and give me some final thoughts here. Book it, Dano, Mr. Leo Haggerty, the legend.
You know what, Peter? I don't want to start a controversy, but they're talking about these honorary captains and that. If you didn't wear the creamsicle, you're not an honorary captain. And again, people talk about Tom Brady. No. That's foolishness. That's throwing a slap in the face of these guys that have been there for years and years. So, you want to have honorary captains, fine. Richard Wood is out there. You got a lot of guys out there that could be the honorary captain. Or you don't even need one at all. Just come to the game and enjoy it. Peter, next Wednesday night, you ready for this?
Yes, sir.
Next Wednesday night, I will be at the Phillies game. It's Irish Appreciation Night. So I'll be having my green on, and I'll be talking to you from Philadelphia as I watch the Phillies. And I'll tell you what, Peter, Bigosh and Bigordy, you have a great evening, and I'm going to call it a night and go have a little bit of a touch of nightcap. Have a good one.
All right, man. There you go, Leo Haggerty. Great impression right there. We'll get out to the comments in a moment. I'll get back out to the phone lines. Let's go out to our guests really quick, but let me give out the phone line number in case you missed it. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. The other number, in case you can't get through, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Let's get out to this man right here, one of our main sponsors, Best Hope Counseling. Larry Baumgartner, welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. And then also let me get out to this guy right here, because he's going to join us for a little bit. I'm going to get his take on some things, but let me go ahead and get him an intro. All right, it's Powers on Sports Podcast. No quarter given podcast on the BuckPower.com network. It's Mr. Jason Powers. Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. And if you're wondering why I played that Florida State theme, he's a former kicker for your Florida State Seminoles. Guys, welcome to the evolution. Larry, first, how are you doing tonight? And we got no volume. Oh, we got no volume. There we go. Oh. Well, that is a live show, so we got to get your volume.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, so I'll go ahead, get him out of here, get you in here really quick. Superstar, welcome to the evolution. We'll go back to Larry in just a moment. That's live television, guys. That's what happens when you're streaming. But you got some big things going on tonight. Go ahead and promote yourself here really quick on what channel you're going to be when people decide to fall asleep when I'm talking about turnbuckle talk, AEW action. Who should they turn to? Welcome, Jason Powers.
Peter Blake, what's up, buddy?
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Good. I'm going to be check out if you guys are in the everybody in the Tampa Bay area. I'm going to be on Spectrum Sports 360 on your Bay News 9 Spectrum channel tonight in the Tampa and Orlando area. We're going to be on tonight at 10:30 as part of their nightly show. Me and Tom Krasnicki are going to be battling it out tonight a little bit, talking a little Tampa Bay Rays as we head to the second half of the year.
Are you going to give them a little debate there? Are you guys going to debate, mix it up? I like T-Kras. You guys need to mix it up a little bit. Don't agree with each other. Don't agree with T-Kras, even though it's pretty easy to, because he's a smart man on radio. Him and my former instructor from the Connecticut School of Broadcasting, Mr. Ronnie Night Train.
That's right.
Yes. So really
tonight and Saturday night. Tonight and Saturday, me and T-Kras.
All right. And we're still trying to figure out what Larry here with his sound. I think he's still off. Let me see if I can get him on. Can't get him on yet, so we'll figure that out eventually. He's his own producer. Really quick, I got to ask you about the Tampa Bay Rays and the disrespectful announcer and just the whole disrespectful attitude towards this Tampa Bay Rays team with, not mentioning Shane McClanahan, who may be the Cy Young winner this year, just saying. You don't introduce him to the All-Star game. And then a budding superstar, if he's not already a superstar, 22-year-old Wander Franco. What do you make of this?
You got to enlighten me. I missed this. Did McClanahan not go to the game?
No, they went to the game. They just didn't get announced by the announcer. I mean, there was another camera. The announcer just basically forgot that they were there. And I feel like national media would want the Tampa Bay Rays not to be there because it has been the story of baseball at this point.
Well, again, first time they've ever been in first place. I didn't see that. I mean, obviously, it was probably not on purpose. The guy was probably not fed the information. Who knows? But Pete, I know you're down with the national disrespect. Our Rays are struggling a little bit. And I'm going to give you, before I get out of here, I'm going to give you a trade proposal that I think the Rays ought to really consider, and it's going to blow. You're going to love this for a guy that wants your guy Stu to go for it. I'm going to give you a great trade opportunity for the Rays to go for it.
All right,
epic proportion.
Let's get our guy on here, Larry Baumgartner, counselor of Best Hope Counseling. Welcome to the Evolution, my friend. Can we hear you?
I hope so. Can you hear me now?
I can definitely hear you. Welcome to the Sports
Awesome.
Web, my friend.
Great to be back. Great to be back.
Yeah, we were talking about the Rays disrespect. You're a big-time Tampa Bay sports fan here. I mean, what do you make of this? Disrespecting those two players, and it certainly seems like, again, the national media has done this throughout the year, mentioning other teams like the Braves and the Astros and all these other, but not mentioning the Tampa Bay Rays. They need their just due, right, Larry?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, they're one of those teams where like they do well. I mean, they make the postseason, all that kind of stuff, but it just seems like they are not shown their respect, and I'm not really sure how we can go about showing the national media and other media that this Rays team is something to deal with, right? I mean, they're in first place. They haven't one of the best records they've had so far in their season, and like they're doing great things, right? I mean, I kind of want to talk a little bit about that today, as far as like where do we think they're going to go, right? I mean, their pitching has been rock solid for many years. Their hitting they're doing well. There's like they have all these pieces in place, and it just like what's it going to take, right? What's it going to take for whatever ESPN or whatever these kind of venues to be like the Rays are for real?
Well, I feel like they need a counseling session by you. I mean, they need to be counseled on, look, this team is for real. They're 58-35. They're 2 games ahead of Baltimore right now. They've had a multitude, Leo word, of injuries to that pitching staff, and yet they still continue to get it done. Let me go out to you, Jason Powers. I'm curious to hear this. You were talking about Shohei Ohtani on the Powers on Sports podcast with the trade proposal. Is that what you're proposing tonight, or is it a different player? Because CBS Sports Talk says Marcus Stroman. What do you say?
Marcus Stroman ain't going to take nobody over the top. If you're Stu Sternberg, you're in a battle to try to get a new stadium. You are in a battle with the Tampa Bay fans to get them out. Go for broke if you're Stu Sternberg. Give up the top 2 prospects in your organization, plus a major league player. I'm not talking about an elite major league player, but one of your major league guys, a guy like Siri or a guy like, somebody, a good player, but not one of your elite players. Package those 3 guys together, make an offer Anaheim can't refuse. You rent Shohei Ohtani for 2 months. He will put 25, 30,000 people in the seats every night. And if you want to win a World Series, this is your opportunity to go for broke. The Braves have never been in this position at the All-Star break, in first place in the AL East. He wants to go to a place. You keep him away from the Yankees and the Dodgers. If you're Stu Sternberg and you want a new stadium, you go win a World Series and you'll have a new stadium by Christmas, guaranteed.
Larry, how do you counsel Stu on this deal? Can we get him in for counseling to make this deal happen? I mean, what do you think of Jason Powers' proposal here? It's not out of the realm of possibility, right? Or is it?
I guess, like, would he be willing to come to Tampa for a couple months?
He doesn't have a choice. It's a trade. He wants to be in a pennant race, right?
Yeah.
Everything we've heard at him is he wants to be on a pennant race. He'll come here for 2 months. He's not signing. There's no chance of signing him.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
It's a 2-month rental.
So I guess the other question would be: is that something that Stu has had any success of doing it in the past?
He's never done it before.
Never done it. I mean,
this is Peter Blake's argument that he's never gone for broke.
Yeah,
he's always had a good team.
Why would he? Yes, I know. He's a great player, but like, what would make him pull the trigger this time?
Because you need a new stadium, and if you win a World Series, this cinches the deal to get a new stadium.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to do it.
And here's the other thing: the Rays have a plethora of enough young guys in the farm system. They can afford to do it one time. They can afford to go for broke one time and give away 2 of your top prospects and a major league guy. You can afford to do it.
Listen to you using big words tonight. Plethora, Leo word there. You got Jason Powers, Powers on Sports Podcast, who will be on Spectrum 360 tonight with T-Craz debating, of course, the Tampa Bay Rays and everything else in sports. So definitely tune into that. We got Best Hope Counseling's Larry Baumgartner. I'm your host, Peter Blake, here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports Web. So yeah,
will that not rock the baseball world? That trade?
I think it really would. I just think about rooting for the Rays for the past 15 years and stuff. I'm just like,
They've never been this good, though. They've been good before. They've never had this much balance of pitching and hitting in the same year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the reason to do it, right? To kind of go for it all. But just based on all these other, like even when Leo was saying, like when you have good players like Snell or all these other kind of great players that they had and they trade them away, it's like, what's going to be different than, you know what I mean, to like bring somebody in?
Yeah,
because you've never traded these guys. I don't think you've ever traded these guys away at the deadline to win it all.
No,
those have been strictly salary dumps.
Yeah, dumps.
We know Shohei's not signing here. It's a 2-month gamble. Why not go for it one time? And again, the carrot at the end of this is if you win the World Series, the stadium deal will be done by Christmas. I can promise you.
All right, I'll tell you what, really quick, guys, and the open phone lines are out there. Dave Warner, I know you were trying to call. I know that there's a lot of reaction with the Rays and, of course, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What do you think about the creamsicle throwbacks? I tell you what, ask and you shall receive. Best of the Bay himself, Mr. Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy. You're on with yours truly, along with Larry Baumgartner, Hope Counseling, Best Hope Counseling, and, of course, Mr. Jason Powers, Powers on Sports Podcast. Welcome to the evolution, my friend. How you doing tonight?
Good. I love what Powers is saying. I mean, you and Harry laughed at me when I said a month ago that they should go after Shohei Ohtani. I never thought the Braves would ever spend $1 billion to sign him, but like you guys just pointed out, and like Jason just pointed out, he wants to go to a contender. And what would it take for the Rays? And that would fill your thing, Peter, that they never just go for it. And let's be honest, guys. I think just without a doubt, you put Ohtani on this team. Not only does he lift the spirits, which I think the spirits got lifted with the performance in the All-Star game and Randy Rosarena's performance in the baseball home run derby. But you bring Ohtani in here in a trade, even if you got to sell a little bit of the future to get that World Series, and then you go back and rebuild again.
Do it.
5 or 10 years, but yeah.
Yes, do it. Like Jason Powers is saying, let the truth set you free right there. Come over to the dark side. Enough of this trying to save money garbage. Yeah, it's working, but you need to get over the top here. It's time.
Because here's a secret thing that Shohei can do. He doesn't have to be a starter for you. He can be your closer. You saw him close in the World Baseball Classic. He doesn't have to be the 4th starter or the 3rd starter. You got 3 great starters as it is. If injury happens, he can be a starter, but he can be your closer.
Listen to you making all kinds of sense right now.
Yeah, it could be great. It's just a matter of just Stu doing it. That's the thing.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, that's the mindset. I mean, and Larry, you counsel people all the time. I mean, when do you get to a point where, and I guess for me, it's
real quick, Peter. Marcus Stroman's not going to put anybody in the seats. Shohei Ohtani, every time he plays, there'll be 10,000 more people in the stands because he's playing that night.
Absolutely.
Which equals money.
And I think what you guys got to ask yourself is, what would it take? What would the Angels need in return? Because they don't got him after this year. They're not going to sign him. They're not going to keep him. They're not going to keep him in Trout. It just can't happen. So what would it take? Or the question is, what other team out there has that, as Jason said, use the word plethora, that Leo word, what other team, what else can another team add? I mean, what would we have to put on there? We got Jeffrey Springs, who got injured this year. He's not coming back. But, man, even if Ohtani just pitches as a starter once every 10 days or comes in spot relief, having him in the team, it's like having an ace in the hole, the confidence.
And in the lineup every day.
And if he's a closer, right? If he's a closer, then he could basically pitch every 3 or 4 days, whereas starters every 4 or 5 days. So like there's more of a chance to see him, so the fans would keep coming out to try to see if he's going to come in. So there's more appearances by him, the more likely like
this market would go ballistic if Shohei Ohtani is in the DH hole hitting 4th every 5 nights a week.
Guys, if
Shohei
Ohtani were a Ray, it would be 10 times more than what Tom, and as crazy as that sounds, there would be 10 times more excitement than Tom Brady. Because right now,
you're in the race. You're in it.
Well, not only that, but this kid is he's a kid. I mean, he's in his prime. He's pitching at top level. He could hit 60 home runs this year. I mean, we're talking about a player who's done some things we've never even seen before. It would just be amazing if he were.
And it's not going to cost you a Wander Franco or Rosarena. You can give up 2 prospects. I get it. They're good players and probably could be. You give up 2 out of your best 3 prospects and a guy on the major league roster, maybe a Ramirez, a Paredes, somebody like that can play for the Angels.
Is that a fair trade for the Angels?
The one thing that stops this deal from happening, though, is don't forget the Angels are only one game back in the AL West. So I mean,
no. They're 5 games out of the wild card, the third wild card.
Yeah, they're They're 5 games out.
Behind the third, and Trout's going to be out the next 7 weeks.
Right, and Larry brings up a great point. It's going to have to be a fair trade, and that's what it's going to come down to. Would the Rays be willing to let go of 3 or 4 top prospects?
Peter, no. Peter, what you said? You said fair trade.
Yeah,
we'd be renting him for 3 months. Now it may bring us a championship, and it may put a championship in his pocket. In fact, he may like the thought of coming here so much that he may pressure the Angels on their end to send him to this team so he can lock a championship up and then become a Yankee in 2024. What's it going to cost? That's my point. Is I don't think it has to cost too much. I mean, I think you got to give up a major prospect and then a possible, maybe like Jason said, a major league starter. But let's not think we're not selling the roof because we got another year or 2 or 3 years with this guy. We only get him for 3 months. It's going to take something good, but I don't know of any other teams out there that are in the race like the Rays are that haven't enough to give up like the Rays.
And that's what I was going to ask too. Yeah.
The one team that could do it would be the Dodgers. But if you're Artie Moreno, you're not trading a generational player 20 miles down the road in the same city to the Dodgers. I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't think from a PR perspective, he would get crushed if he traded him to the Dodgers. Now, if he signs with the Dodgers in the offseason, that's a different story. But you cannot trade Ohtani, an all-timer, 20 miles down the road to the Dodgers and set them up for a world title if you're Artie Moreno.
I'll sell you one more, brother, Jason. The Angels might like the fact of him coming east because it may make all the other Major League Baseball teams realize, because they realize that if they don't send him east, he may just go down the road, which he probably may end up going because the Dodgers have that money. But if he's in the East, the Mets might look at it and go, wow, look what he did to their bottom line. Let's bring him in and put him on our rotation. It might be the Angels' best move. I mean, it might be as prescient as it was Tom Brady in 2020.
I think it's more. I think it's more because now he's in his prime, the popularity of this player, and then you know, with the pitching you already have here with the Tampa Bay Rays, and not only can he pitch, but he can also be a hitter. I mean, the excitement level in baseball, forget about, trying to get a new stadium. I think eventually you would get a new stadium. You would get a World Series. And who knows? Maybe you can convince him. Most likely he's going to go for the big money, but maybe he does stay for, I don't know. Maybe it's wishful thinking on my part. The guy's worth $600 million freaking dollars, maybe more than that.
I mean, he's not signing here next year. I mean, that's not part of this thought process. It's the thought process of, you are an instant pennant race. You're on the best team in the league from where you're at now. And like you said, you keep him away from the Dodgers. You keep him away from the Yankees. And if you're the Angels, you send him on the other coast where you're not getting the PR nightmare of sending him down the street to the Dodgers.
Yeah, well, if he goes to the Dodgers, they got the automatic advantage. If he goes to, a team like the Yankees, you would have to think you got the automatic advantage. I mean, that's the one thing you don't want to fit.
Who's a free agent after this season?
Well,
it might seem like a stretch to give him up, but McClanahan. Would you trade McClanahan? If the Angels said we want McClanahan in trade, you can have Shohei.
No.
They wouldn't take him because they want a guy they know that's going to be in Anaheim for the next several years.
Yeah,
you can't risk it with McClanahan leaving. I mean, you got to send them guys that are going to be there. And if you're the Rays, man, you have proven you are tremendous at developing minor league talent.
Yeah.
More than almost anybody else in Major League Baseball, you know how to bring along minor league guys to be productive. And that's what the Angels need is quantity.
All right, Ray, I know that the creamsicle got released today. We've been talking about baseball on this show, but of course we talk about the Bucs. Your thoughts on how the video came out? I'm going to get Larry's thoughts after this because I want to ask him. We're going to shift to the Buccaneers. But what did you think about the whole presentation with Derek Brooks narrating it? Mike Alstott as the bouncer, letting Mike Evans and Levante David and Antoine Winfield Jr. Rondé Barber is the bartender there. Just goosebumps. I mean, just talking about the history. For me, it was goosebumps. I don't know about you.
If we're just wanting to be negative nanny, I thought Levante David should have had a different role. I loved him as a current player showing up with Mike and Chris and Antoine. But remember, he wore those his rookie season back in 2012. So he actually got a chance to win, not these throwbacks, but similar throwbacks, more the style that
they're more lighter. They look lighter in color to me. That's what they look like.
But man, I'll tell you what, guys, thanks for taking my call, Pete. I'm just going to enjoy the rest of the show. But man, I had tears, and I had tears because it brings back so many memories, so many families, so many tailgates. And I tell you what, there's one game guys, I'm going to sound sacrilegious here. I wouldn't, because Pete, we've been doing half-game and post-game shows for the Bucs for the last 5 years. So
Yeah.
I haven't really and during COVID, we couldn't get tickets to Brady except for until the end of the season and we're in the Super Bowl. Even if as Tom played in 2021 and 2022, I would have not traded the chance to go to Week 6 versus Detroit for these throwbacks to see Tom Brady in person. I never did get to see him. The only game I went to that Tom Brady was a Buccaneer. He was on that 30-day sabbatical, and him and last season it was a preseason game. Otherwise, we're working, brother. But great show tonight. Thanks for taking my call. I love it. You guys do great. And Peter, I'll talk to you soon, brother.
All right, my friend. Great call as always. Best of the Bay, Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy in the building. Jason Powers, I got to get you out of here on this, my friend. Your thoughts on how the Tampa Bay Buccaneers presented it. The creamsicles are back. One game a year. Should they be more? How did you like the presentation? And should it be more than one game a year? Of course, it's against the Lions on October 15th.
No, I like the one game here. I don't think you want to wear it out and overdo it on that. I mean, you've transitioned away from those colors. One game a year is great. I think that's a great tribute to the all the old guys and all the old fans that have been supporters since. I would have liked to have seen that. Maybe they reached out and they couldn't get them. A guy like Doug Williams would have been a cool guy to have it as part of the video somehow. Again, I don't know what his relationship is with the franchise now, but a guy like Doug, who was the original kind of big quarterback we had, maybe a Vinny Testaverde or somebody like that. But no, they did a good job. I give the Bucs full credit and full marks for the video production and getting those guys. And obviously, Rondé getting ready to go into the Hall of Fame here in a couple weeks.
All right, good stuff there, Jason Powers. Go ahead and promote yourself once again here on the evolution of Sports Talk Television, my friend.
Yeah, check us out, Powers on Sports Podcast. Got a new episode will be coming out tomorrow. Again, you and I, Peter, do the No Quarter Given podcast. We'll start that up here right before training camp starts, outlining all things Buccaneers. So I'll be doing a college football podcast as well, YouTube channel, Jason Powers Sports Channel, and maybe an occasional guest here on the Sports Web.
You're definitely always an occasional guest on the Sports Web. My tag team partner of the world, Mr. Jason Powers. Thanks a lot for your time, superstar. We'll see you on Spectrum 360. Hopefully I'm off by then, but I don't think so. I got to host a show. But go kill him, knock him dead. All right, my friend?
Appreciate it. Nice meeting you, Larry. Thanks for the support, and we'll talk soon. See you guys.
All right, there you go. Jason Powers, Powers on Sports Podcast. Let's come back in here with Best Hope Counseling's Larry Baumgartner here on the evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake. If you want to talk to Larry about what he does or sports in general, because this guy knows his stuff, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. The other number, in case you can't get through, and I know there's been some calls tonight, so keep on calling, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. Really quick, what do you think about the presentation from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers today? You saw the video. You saw all the legends in that. And, of course, what do you think about the creamsicle in general?
So, unfortunately, I didn't see the presentation. I was actually seeing clients, and so I wasn't able to see that. But it sounds like it was a really cool presentation. I'm really excited to see the creamsicle jerseys again. I think it's just kind of this old school kind of thing, and just obviously there was some challenging times during the creamsicles, but I think it's time to kind of put a new face per se on those jerseys, and they can do great things, get a win. Have they decided who they're going to play or what week it is?
Yeah, it is going to be week 6, and we actually got to go out to the phone calls because we asked for the phone calls. We're going to read the comments. We're going to do it, my friend. Mr. Marine from Tampa, Ron, Bucs fantastic. Welcome to the evolution. You're on with yours truly, along with Larry Baumgartner of Best Hope Counseling. What do you have to say? What do you think about the creamsicle?
Hey, Larry, how you doing this evening, sir?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, thanks, Pete, for accepting the call and all, and great to be a part of it.
You're always welcome. What are you doing there? You're all formal. You're all serious. You got to get more excited here. I mean, the Bucs revealed the creamsicle here. The Rays are doing great. Come on, pep it up a little bit.
I'm very excited for the creamsicle. Definitely big time. I mean, it brings the tradition back, no doubt. I love the creamsicle. I wish they would have done it a lot more, like the Patriots and the Steelers and the Packers have done. I felt like we didn't do it enough.
Yeah.
And it brings back memories. It brings back those old memories of sitting on those hard benches, metal benches, with watching Steve Young and DeBerg and Testaverde and Lars Tate. Roderick
James
Thomas.
Wilder.
Yeah, James Wilder. There you go. That's everybody's Ring of Honor. We'll get back to that in a moment because I'll get your thoughts on that, Larry, about him being in the Ring of Honor. But should they wear him, Ron, more than one game a year, or should it just stick to the one?
Absolutely, should be a lot. I think it should be at least 2 to 3, and that would be really good. At least it should be at least 2, I would say, not just 1, because then it's just you're going to do all that work and just for one game. When I think people really I get more pepped up and excited when I used to be able to go to the game and when it was orange. It's just a whole nother phase of memories that just tradition, man. It's the invention of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from 1976
to 1996. 1996.
Let me ask you this. So with this first year, though, are you cool with them just having one and maybe like next year then have a couple or maybe 2 or 3? Like, does that make sense to you? Or you want like 2 or 3 this year?
I just think that it's been too long, Larry, and that they haven't done it. And so one is kind of a light kind of a treat or dose to a traditional thing with a football team. I don't know why. I think Pete has explained it to me before that, dude, you can get as frustrated as you want, but I think it's the uniform, it's the helmets.
There was a rule there, and they nixed it in a couple years ago, and then of course they had a distribution delay, so that's why you didn't get it with Tom Brady. I know there's a lot of Bucs fans out there that wanted to see Tom Brady in the creamsicle. A lot of Bucs fans didn't want. I don't understand why they wouldn't want to see the greatest player of all time in the damn creamsicle, but that's neither here nor there. And all, of course, the Ring of Honor. Like I keep on getting into a debate with people about the Ring of Honor, but that's neither here nor there. So you would like to see it more than one game. All right, good stuff, my friend. And what do you think about the Rays being disrespected once again by the national media? Not being announced, Shane McClanahan, who could possibly be the Cy Young winner this year if he could stay healthy, knock on wood, and of course Wander Franco not being introduced by the announcer. What do you say to that, my friend?
I think that's pretty dang cold and just and it's not very considerate and respectful. Those guys have both done a wonderful job, and the team as a whole for having a team with ownership that really kind of goes in big when they go to sell their players, and they don't want to spend big money to get a stadium or to get your huge big time payroll like the Yankees and things like that. They're doing tremendously well.
Yeah.
And those two players right there have proven them, have just been really solid guys, and they've been all over the place with contribution. And, they're in a little slump right now, but hopefully they ended it with one. Hopefully, they got to start going at it again, Pete. And that recipe that was getting those wins, they need to start stringing them
Shohei Ohtani, Ron, and I'm going to let you go here, and you can use that second call. If the Rays had to trade for Shohei Ohtani, or they have to make a trade at the deadline to go all in, like the Bucs and like the Lightning have done here the last couple years, are you on board with giving up the future to win a World Series this year? Yes or no, Marine?
No, sir. Not
right
now.
My God. Why? Tell me why here.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Pete. I don't like giving blind answers just to a situation where I don't know the specific details. I should know more about Ohtani, but I don't really have his stats.
Well, can I tell you how great he is? Go ahead and Google this. But he could hit 60 home runs this year, and he's one of the best young pitchers in the league. So not only do you get a pitcher, but you also get a hitter. He's one of the top players in the game. You tell me you're not going to give up prospects in the future? Prospects! We don't even know what these prospects are going to do. Okay.
I might have misunderstood.
And he is one of the top players, obviously, in the game right now.
Yes, top players.
Okay, Pete, I'm going to use that second callback too, Larry and Pete, because there's something I really want to touch on that I talked to T-Crass earlier on about.
Okay.
95.3 WBA.
Okay.
About John Gruden. I think I got a bone to pick with this woke agenda with the NFL, but I'll give it a few minutes and I'll call you guys back and.
All right.
Second call.
Appreciate you, Ron. Let me give you the Ric Flair. Woo! There we go right there. Absolutely. Thanks a lot for the call. Open phone lines if you want to get in. I want to hear from you. Dave, you just called in. Call in again. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Hope Counseling, Larry Baumgartner here, and tell everybody out there what you exactly do and why you're a part of the Sports Web right now, because you definitely relate to sports here. You do some great things. Explain that to everybody.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist at Best Hope Counseling, and we help folks in Florida as well as Minnesota. And here's the bottom line, right? I work with athletes. I work with current and former athletes, whether it's career life transitions, whether it's relationship issues, whether it's men's issues, or even a fair recovery, right? I work with those kind of things, dealing with athletes as well as professionals, and obviously, relationships in general, whether it's married, they're dating, whatever like that. Is I kind of help I help folks, couples reconnect, rebuild, and restore, relationships, and obviously the relationship with themselves as well. Love what I do, and I've worked with some players. I'm actually in Minnesota right now because that's where I'm living right now. Came back home after living in Tampa for 15 years. And so I love the opportunity to meet with folks, particularly with athletes, and help them kind of take that next step, or to help them be prepared, be more prepared for when they go on the field, right? I mean, we all know that when life isn't where it needs to be, right? Whether it's your relationship, whether it's, financial stuff you're worried about, whatever like that, it's going to affect how you do your work, right? And so I want to be a resource for those folks. And so anyone that's, in Florida or Minnesota that would like to, talk, 727-946-1346. My number is 727-946-1346. And I have a website. It's besthopecounseling.com. And I look forward to helping anyone out there. So thank you.
We're going to absolutely keep you on for a little bit longer here. Okay. Let's go out and read these comments. And no time span here. There's kind of a structure, but there's really not a structure. We got Ralph Williams in the back. They're getting ready for Turnbuckle Talk. I don't know if you're a wrestling fan or not. My other co-host here, the Greek, cringes.
A little bit, yeah.
So you're a wrestling fan.
I not as much as I used to, but yeah, I am. I'm going to go to a Raw event here in Minneapolis next month. So I'm excited.
All right, give me your analysis of WWE right now, because there was a story that came out, and we're going to address this in Turnbuckle Talk, but they were actually making the point that this era of wrestling is as good as the Attitude Era. Do you agree or not? And why don't you agree? What's your reasoning? Because I don't think it's as good as the Attitude Era. What do you say?
I mean, I watched a lot of the Attitude Era, and I love that. And I'm kind of sparsely watching it these days. And obviously, I know Roman's still in Kevin Owens and all those kind of guys. I would say not. I just think the whole Generation DX, and just that whole kind of like Hulk Hogan kind of going to the dark side kind of thing. Like I think all that kind of stuff was just. It's something I don't think it's ever going to be compared to, and so I would still go back to the Attitude Era, and love what just kind of the excitement of the drama, what was happening then. It was Monday must see TV.
Correct. You're absolutely correct, and you know what I'm talking about, because you would switch channels. It would be WCW on one channel and WWF on the other, and it was the Monday Night Wars, and it will never duplicate the Attitude Era. Correct. I get it. There's some great storylines right now with the Bloodline and Roman Reigns.
Right.
Great characters. Right. With Cody Rhodes. I mean, these are kind of the points they were throwing out there, but it is never going to be able to duplicate Stone Cold Steve Austin, your boss, or Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Rock.
Right. Yes.
That relationship. Go ahead and break that down. Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Vince McMahon, his boss. Is that the greatest rivalry of all time, or is it The Rock and Austin, in your opinion, Larry?
Boy, that's a good question. Let me see.
We're talking sports tonight, and then we switch gears and talk wrestling. I mean, this is what you get on the Sports Web. Welcome to the evolution.
That's right. Love it. Boy, I see how like Austin and McMahon, would be like that great rivalry and stuff like that. But I guess I think The Rock and Austin, would probably be the best. Just because with all their catchphrases and the beer drinking and this all that kind of stuff, just like it wasn't just the action in the ring, which they did well, of course. But I think it was just the other drama around it, that you were just like rooting for one, or you're like, oh, some of those catchphrases and stuff like that. I just think that was probably the best that I've seen as far as just that competition.
Love it. All right, let's go out to the phone lines. Damn it, Jim. Keep on calling the sports web. Jim, welcome to the Evolution. You're on with yours truly, along with Larry Baumgartner of Best Hope Counseling. What do you have to say? You love the creamsicle, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right. How much do you love it? How much did you love that presentation today by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Yeah, it was pretty classy, I think. Yeah, I liked it.
Okay, you got to turn. I think you got to turn down your phone there or something. Turn down your radio because I'm hearing feedback there. You loved it. So, do you think they should win it, or do you think they should wear the jersey more than once a year, or just keep it once a year? In your opinion,
more than once a year.
Okay.
I don't know. I kind of. Well, at first I liked the change when they changed over. Cause I didn't know back in the day I didn't really mess with it, but I think the creamsicle everybody like it, so it's our history. I like it.
Yeah, and again, a lot of people talk about Jim, the losing history, but there's some winning history there, as the Bucs before the Panthers and the Jaguars were one of the fastest teams in NFL history to make it to the playoffs, with the 79 NFC Championship and the great Doug Williams and the great Leroy Selman and Ricky Bell and John McKay. And people would say throw McKay in the Bay the first 2 years, but they were patient. They had some playoff appearances there. Once again, only 9 points away from getting to Super Bowl, I believe it was 19 versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, all the way back there in 1979. I was 1 year old. So there you go. Doesn't make you feel old at all. All right. So what else, Jim?
I don't have me no creamsicle jersey. I got a hat.
Well, you got to get yourself a creamsicle jersey. You got to go down there. They're selling.
Go buy one, yeah.
Yeah, they're selling them at the team store. They're going to be selling them online. I mean, what jersey are you rocking? Are you rocking the Mike Evans? Are you rocking the Levante David? Somebody mentioned Devin White. He wasn't in the presentation. You can't get anybody player you want to. It's your money, Jim. I can't spend it for you. You got to spend it.
I'll give me a Warren Sapp.
A Warren Sapp.
Okay. There you go. Yeah, 99. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. For the next year.
And what now?
Vita
Vea. Okay. I like it. All right. All right, Jim. What else?
That was my decision. I thought y'all were talking about wrestling. And
yeah, go for it.
And Goldberg ain't there no more. All the good was it Goldberg and John 316, them boys. This was a good wrestling.
There's never going to be an era like that. I don't think there's ever going to be an era of professional wrestling. It was the golden age. And whether it was in WCW or WWF, it was just an amazing time. You remember it. So many characters going back and forth. And I hope, and I don't know, Larry, if you watch it or not, AEW can rival WCW where they could take a chunk out of WWE, but I don't think it's going to happen. WWE is too strong. Good stuff, Jim. Anything else?
Oh no, I'll come back on wrestling time.
Well, you can talk about wrestling now if you want to. I mean, what do you want to talk about? What's on your mind?
Oh, I was gonna bring up some more wrestlers.
Okay, all right.
What do you like?
Oh, well, I liked all that old era. Well,
I tell you what. How about The Rock? Okay.
Yeah,
we're going to talk about The Rock tonight. We're definitely going to get into that. So I tell you what. You save that thought, because I got a story about The Rock, and he may be coming back to wrestling sooner than later. You're going to have to stay tuned. That's your tease for the sports web. Damn it, Jim. Thanks a lot for calling the Evolution. All right?
Yeah.
All right, I'll call you all later.
All right, appreciate it. And again, everybody gets a second call. If you can't necessarily gather your thoughts, it's okay. I'm not going to hang up on you. You're not banned from the show. We're on the Evolution. Let's go back out to these comments here as they are coming fast and furious. I believe one game a year for the creamsicle. Like Leo said, something like this should be special. Agree with that? Larry, you agree with that?
Yes, I think this year to have just the one, I think that would be a great idea. But I would certainly like to see maybe more of it next year. Kind of like when I was talking with Powers before, or I think I'm sorry who it was, but like
Jason.
Jason. Yeah. So I think that 1 year kind of special game, whatever like that, and kind of bring them back. And I think how depending on how the reaction is, right? Which hopefully it's all well. That maybe next year there's a couple games, right? Or maybe there's 2 or 3 games. But it's just kind of it's not going to be, the 17 games, right? But it's going to be some special times, whether it's the 3rd week and then the 6th week or the 12th week, whatever it may be, right? Some kind of special moments to it. Maybe other Hall of Famers come by and, kind of some celebrations during halftime or something like that. I think there's many opportunities to play up that different jersey and to get even more fans to the games.
Love it. Absolutely. And anytime you get an opportunity, I know the Glazers are going to definitely take advantage of all those jerseys online and on Buccaneers.com. Let's go out to Ben again. I would have thought Dennis Quaid was the last face of the Rays franchise. Just kidding. I haven't thrown a zinger in a while. That was actually a good one.
Yeah.
But no, he was not the face of the franchise. Of course, go Rays. I don't know who that is, but thanks a lot for tuning in. Appreciate it. I don't believe Scott Boras likes Tampa Bay. He probably would encourage Randy to go to a bigger market. Let's touch upon that a little bit. You deal with athletes. You talked about it. Have you ever dealt with an athlete that has so much pressure going to a new market where it's so overwhelming that it affects their performance on the field? Talk about that a little bit.
Absolutely. No, yeah, absolutely. Great. I think it's the adjustment, right? Now, let's just say, right, you're with the Bucs and you're with it for 5 years and you get traded to whatever, Seattle, or you get traded to the Giants, whatever it may be. Like, it's not just I'm actually going to be there in that particular city, but it's like new teammates, right? It's new coaches. It's, maybe it's obviously a new game plan, right? And just like, and you might be even there by yourself, right? You might be your partner isn't with you. They got to stay back in, whatever that state you just came from to kind of hold the fort down with the children or all that kind of stuff. And so I think it's just one of those things where if you're not ready for it, right? And some players, they don't do good when they get to their next teams. I think it's really going to just affect so many areas of their lives, right? And so I think it's a matter of like finding out what you can control and finding out what's out of your control, right? But you are a professional, right? You know that trades happen. You may go to this city or that city, or maybe let's say you're a DB here, and obviously, or let's say you're safety, right? And you go up to another team and they want to convert you to corner, right? Well, that's an adjustment itself too, right? How are you going to go about that? Is that going to be better, or vice versa, right? So I think it's a matter of just kind of feeling confident, knowing what you can do, and knowing that you have the ability to fit into this new team, right? Because when you went from, let's just say, you went to FSU, right? And now you're going to play for X team, let's say Jaguars. Well, that's an adjustment right there. How did you make that happen? Right? They're not going to be the same Seminoles, right? These are the Jaguars, right? It's NFL, or you're going up to Falcons, whatever, it doesn't matter, right? Like, but you can do that. So I think it's a matter of kind of helping them bring that confidence to them and saying, like, what do you think it takes, right? What do you think it is? Is it going to be important for you to, learn the system best, and then how are you going to get to know some of your teammates, right? Whether it's a team after the team meetings and stuff, are you like, hey, so what's the best place to eat around here, right? Or just what kind of things just to build some confidence and build some camaraderie within your teammates. I think those small things could make such a big difference in how you fit in, and then most of all, right, it's how you perform on the field. Because if you're in that better place, and just going, okay, this is going on. My kids, my family's still down in so-and-so city, but I'm an athlete. I'm a professional athlete, and I can do this. I can do this.
Would you say that's the majority of your cases that you deal with athletes? Is that stress to go to another team, or the transition, like you mentioned, going from a winning environment? Jameis Winston here comes to mind from Florida State.
Right. Yep.
To national championship, a Heisman, and then has to go to a losing team and have a losing culture, and the transition isn't always the best. Is that the majority of your cases, you would say, most of the time with athletes?
I would say it's that, and also just people that are getting out of the game, right? Kind of that career life transition, whether you were a starting, starting linebacker for the Bucs or Dolphins, whatever time you want to say, right? And like, what's next, right? Maybe after the Bucs cut me, right, then I go try out for, I go try it for the Chiefs, right, and I get cut there, right, and I go try the Saints. I'm still not getting anything, right? So you come to realize that maybe this is not for me anymore, right? Maybe I had some great success, right? That happens, right?
Yes, it absolutely happens.
And I always think about too, like, when I just, we went to the Bucs here, obviously, but like, if you're a Buck player and you go into a restaurant and they're like, oh yeah, Leo, yeah, let's get your table over here, right? Or you go into a restaurant and they're like, oh my God, you see that is over there, right? That's so and so, right? Like, but then that doesn't happen anymore, right? Like, how is that an adjustment for ego, right? The athletic identity, as far as that you're not this player up here anymore, but you still are an important person that's done a lot of great things. So how do you transition not only just your mental state, but your skills, your skills and your strengths to go to do something else, right? Some people decide they want to go to college, right, and get maybe like a business degree, right, or they want to go into real estate, but whatever it may be. But I think that's a huge change for people, and I've talked to people about that, and it's just like, it's an adjustment, right? It is an adjustment. And so, and when you've been an athlete for so long, you get that attention, right? And and so it's the adjustment of not getting the attention, right, that you may have received. But now it's like, what am I going to next? How can I make the second part of my life, the second part of my career, maybe just as good or even better? Shoot. I mean, I know a guy that that they used to play for the Rams, and now he's like a big software engineer kind of guy, right? I'm like, okay, so he had a great career with the Rams. He's did well, and was starting and all that kind of stuff. But at some point, it was just like, I got to change careers, right? I mean, and I would even say too, Pete, right? I mean, I used to work in broadcasting, and now I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, right? I mean, it's that point. Is like, I'm not going to be able to do that anymore for whatever reason, right? It's but now I'm going to go do this, and I can use some of those abilities that's inside of me to go rock it out on that new career.
Well, that's not true, because you are a sports broadcaster on Sports Talk Television. That's true. The madness right here.
Still with it, aren't I?
Absolutely. There you go. Love it. Good stuff, Larry. Okay, so we read that comment there. I wanted to read this one. This is good. Florida State Peter, you were raised well, my friend. Absolutely. Coming from my father.
Yeah.
Baby, don't let your what's the song? The mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be Gator fans. There you go. I believe Scout Boris encourages Randy to leave for a bigger market. That's certainly possible, Bobby. Ohtani to the Cubs. I don't know about that, Roger. Y'all nuts if you think the Rays get him. His contract is as much as the Rays payroll. That's very true, but that's why, again, it's hypothetical, Roger.
This guy sucks.
You missed it. Shadow, Jeremiah, what's going on, buddy? Welcome to the Evolution. David says, what's up, Peter? What's going on, buddy? Creamsicle Day. Shohei could be a Cub next year. We'll see. Christopher Cole, of course, if they were going to spend the money or not. KR says, evening, guys. Go Bucs. Absolutely. Go Bucs. There you go. KR says, I love the video. A great salute to the Bucs of old. Absolutely. If you guys want to talk about that and give your thoughts, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. The other number, in case you can't get through, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. You're in the Evolution. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with, of course, Best Hope Counseling, Larry Baumgartner here, talking sports. And ask for calls, get calls. Marine using his second call. Welcome back to the Evolution. Yes, Marine, welcome to the Sports Web. Marine going once, Marine going twice. Marine is gone. All right. Bobby says, where was Devin White in the presentation? That's interesting in itself, because he already asked for a trade. So we'll see how that plays out. Let's go back out to Ron the Marine. Are you there, my friend? Welcome back to the Evolution.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's these telephone waves here that are circulating in the Dominican Republic.
We got to get away from those, man. It calls all those conspiracy theories that you could see on YouTube when you're up late at night. You got to get away from that. You got to stay away from that, my friend. Well, what's on your mind?
Hey, so, I don't know how much you know about it, Larry or Pete, but they were talking about it on DAE a little while, and I called in and talked to T-Press, and you don't really get much time because, it's especially when they're up against the break. But anyway, it's about John Gruden, and I think we're dealing with whether people want to face it or not, we have to face reality. We're living in a woke time right now where people take the liberty to have these crazy expectations that they should deserve something different. And I think with John Gruden, you know, you cannot replace or take away what he accomplished. And I think it's very wrong, and I'm a little bit outraged by it, that they removed his name from the stadium. And I believe that what they did to him with the NFL and Goodell, I think they're blowing this 20 levels up above, out of proportion to what it really was. I think the statements were mistaken. I don't think they were racial hatred with any intent whatsoever. They were sarcastic. It was a name calling, and it wasn't, I mean, it didn't specify anybody being of color. And, you know, maybe the color itself was used, but it wasn't like, you know, demeaning somebody for being that certain race. And I just think this is a big thing. I mean, they put a bullet in his head and tried to take him out of any popularity, of any.
Well, what has come out from that situation is that Roger Goodell may have leaked, supposedly, according to ESPN, that he may have leaked those emails along with Daniel Snyder leaking those emails. But at the end of the day, the emails are still there. John Gruden still said those things. And also, I get what you're saying about the woke, and I agree. Sometimes we are somewhat a little bit overly sensitive about things. Okay. He did say some of those things about race. He did say some of those things in the emails, whether that was revealed or not. He said those things. Those were in that email. So you can't do that. And then on top of it, I don't recall what he said. You can't. And here's the thing. You can't talk about your bosses like he did the Glazers. He completely and totally disrespected the Glazers. And that's the reason why they also took him out of the Ring of Honor. You can't talk about your boss. You can't do that, Ron.
That's where I am probably not getting certain details of what was said. I just remember reading some of the stuff, and when I saw it, it struck me as, okay, he said a guy with big lips or tire lips or something.
Yeah, and, that's not good. Yeah. That's not good to say. It's not funny. It's stupid. There's no place for it. Whether it's woke media or woke whatever the hell it is, it was not good today, and it was good 20, 25 years ago. That's ridiculous.
I just think that it was a little bit taken out of proportion. I think some people have done worse, especially Daniel Snyder.
Well, they may have, and again, that's what it could be all about. And Daniel Snyder, of course, he's got heat on him. Roger Goodell, he's got possibly heat on him. I mean, they could have all done it, but John Gruden, of course, put himself. And we always talk about it, right? Whether the player is guilty or not, you put yourself in that situation. And Larry, you can comment on this, and Ron, you can hold off for just a moment. What's the priority? Do you want to be an NFL player? Do you want to be an NFL coach? Do you want to be an NFL owner? Because you represent the shield,
right, yeah,
end of it. And I know you probably say that sometimes to your clients. I don't know if you say that exactly, but for me, it's always disheartening because a player's got so much talent, and then they do something so stupid to put themselves in a situation where they could cost themselves millions of dollars and cost themselves the opportunity to play in a league where it's a 1 in a million shot. Kind of talk about that, Larry, and then we'll get back to you in a minute.
Yeah, I think, like, we don't expect players to be perfect, but we expect them to think, right? Think before they talk. And I think sometimes you just kind of, off the cuff and do this kind of stuff. But like, there could be mics, not saying we need to be afraid of it. There's always mics, but like, something could be recorded, right? Whether you're out in the field and just saying a joke that might be between you two, who knows? I think it just involves more thinking before talking, right? Because there's so many athletes out there that we could even talk about the guy from the Grizzlies, right? John
Lance. I wanted to ask you about that situation. We'll get back to that in a moment, but yeah, go ahead and finish up. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I just think that they're they have a job, right? And they are hired under the NFL shield, and obviously for representing their certain teams. And I think there has to be a different, more upstanding. I know character is not the word, sorry, I can't think of it, but like just better judgment in how what you say could be impacted or taken a different way than your intent. Yeah. And it's sometimes when it goes out there, you might be like, well, okay, you might be sad that it got out, but you can't take it back.
That's it. You can't take it back. You can't take it back. And maybe you could have back then, maybe 20, 25 years ago, maybe 30 years ago. Maybe there were sports reporters that were protecting the image of those athletes. But now social media is out there. You cannot take it back, and you can try to erase it all you want to, but somebody's going to be able to find it. Case in point, Josh Allen, just a couple years ago, #1 pick for the Buffalo Bills, said something stupid, and even though he was in high school or college at the time, they held that against him, and that is how crazy it is. And it goes back to what Herman Edwards said about 5 years ago. If you're going to press send, don't, because usually, more than likely, if you have to think about what you're saying and you think it's going to be offensive, don't even put yourself in a situation. You got too much to lose. Ron, go ahead.
My thing is, Pete, I just think they kind of went overboard. They kind of went for his, kind of like the sniper with the scope. They went right for the kill shot and took his name off the stadium. I mean, come on, obliterating what the guy accomplished is a little bit. They should have. The stadium got me first, because I think now you're obliterating and canceling what he accomplished. I mean, granted, yes, did Tony Dungy build a lot of this program? He sure did. But Gruden still went in and was the head coach when they won a Super Bowl and they went to the playoffs, 2 more times after that. So he never really was a losing coach, and he had our guys playing well and tough.
What consequence would you have agreed with?
Yeah, I mean, what would you have done, Ron? That's a great question, Larry.
Yeah, I mean, maybe losing. I don't know. I mean, maybe losing his job, but not being just the way that they chastised him. Now removed his name off the, Raymond James, like he was never anything.
I mean, think about it, Ron. If you talked about your boss to another to another person at your job, and you said some of the things that he said about the Glazers, and you said some of the things about your bosses, do you think, no matter how talented you were, and we know that John Gruden was a talented coach for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, no doubt about it, one of the youngest coaches in NFL history to win a Super Bowl championship. But if you said those things, no matter how talented you were, would you lose your job?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. There you go.
Yep.
There you go, my friend.
Can I ask a question of both you guys?
Yeah. Sure, go for it.
So obviously, this thing happened with John. And other players, other coaches have made mistakes. They've gotten second chances. Does John deserve one in any regard?
I don't know.
In any regard, right? Whether it's assistant coach, whether it's college, whatever, in sports, football. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think he's ever going to be on the Ring of Honor again because of the way you talked about the Glazers. And that's their prerogative because it is their team and they own it. Whether the fans like it or not, that's how it is. But as far as an NFL, as far as an NFL coaching job, he's already been a consultant for the Saints. I think somebody will give him a shot. Or, it may be a situation where he never gets a shot. He does get blacklisted in the NFL because they don't want to deal with the PR nightmare and the PR backlash from all the groups out there that are going to stand up against them because they hired Gruden. So what else, Marine?
Yeah, I just think he accomplished, got us, a big time ring and everything. And that took some work. I think that he, going into cold Philly, we'll never forget that day and how he used some of the intel that he knew on the team you'll never forget it, my friend. But NFL Network wants you to forget it because they were going through all the Super Bowls during the July 4th weekend. And of course, they skipped the 2002 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All right, my friend. I understand the point. I get your frustration, but it is what it is. I'll tell you what. Thanks a lot for the call. As always, Marine, keep on watching the evolution. All right, my friend? Hey, Pete, Larry, one last thing, and I'll say it in a joking matter, not political. Hey, it's all Trump's fault.
Oh, shut up. You know what? Be quiet.
This guy sucks.
All right, get out of here, Ron. I knew you were going to say that. Let me go out to Curtis. Curtis, welcome back using your second call. You're on with yours truly along with Larry Baumgartner of Hope Counseling. Hold on a sec here. Stand by. Jim, we got Curtis on the line. We'll go out to you in just a moment. Let me go back out to Curtis. Curtis, go ahead. You wanted to finish your call. Go for it.
I will. I listen. The guy that was just on the phone, I agree with him. John Gruden will always be known in Tampa Bay. He will always be the yang to the yang of that defense. That he always will be the guy to put that offense together to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
However, I want him to think about two other names, and these are just the two off the top of my head. the Carolina Panthers owner Jerry Richardson? Do you think he'll ever own a team again?
Well, he's dead, but of course,
no.
he
would have never
owned a
let,
team.
Would never let him own another team. The guy that owned the Clippers that had to sell, he will never own another team again.
Sterling,
never.
So the thing about it is we live in, and Peter, we've had this conversation. We live in a politically correct world now.
Correct, we do.
It doesn't matter what you did. It could be 50 years ago. If it comes up and you get somebody addresses you about something you said, and you don't come out your mouth correctly, your career is pretty much down the toilet.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think the toughest career right now, besides being a broadcaster, Larry and Curtis, is the fact of being a comedian. Because what's funny anymore is offended by everything that you say. Being a comedian, I mean, Dave Chappelle, he's a main man. He doesn't care. He can say whatever he wants to on Netflix. But I mean, he's taking hell for it. I mean, this is the
dude. Listen, Dave Chappelle probably gets more hate mail than anybody in the world.
Of course he does.
Yeah.
And okay, I'll tell you what. Me and my wife, she was just scrolling through Facebook, and Roseanne is coming to Ruth Eckerd Hall in like November.
Wow.
And my wife is like, hey, do you mind going to see Roseanne? I'm like, well, actually, I don't care because, listen, comedy. People say the most gut bucketest, ruthless. I grew up with the most ruthless mouths.
Right. You grew up on Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy. We all did, and George Carlin and all that stuff.
I watched the roast today. Of Robin Williams roasting Richard Pryor, and it was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Listen, the problem is, people are so sensitive now.
I mean, I'm never going to make everybody happy on the sports web, but I try to let everybody have an opinion. I try to give them enough time to say what they want to say. I try to also make sure that everybody in the background be as quiet so I could do my show.
I'm gonna ask y'all another question. Do you guys remember Chadwick? Guy who played Black Panther. He played Jackie Robinson in the movie 42.
Yes.
Did you ever watch 42?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you remember the guy that played the Phillies head coach and what he did to Jackie Robinson?
Yes, I do.
That's we will never live in that world again because it's a politically correct world.
And you don't want to live in that world again.
No,
but you're exactly right.
We don't want to live in that world. But my point is your life can be ruined.
Correct.
For just saying, it used to be called Roseanne. Now it's called the Connors.
Right, exactly. My mother here is about to give me a shake from McDonald's. I'm loving it. No McDonald's sponsorship here.
Exactly.
But I mean, the thing.
Best Hope Counseling.
Yes, thank you.
I'm as a Bucs fan. Will I always appreciate John Gruden? Absolutely. Listen, I watch that America's Game tape every once in a while because let me tell you something. To me, as a kid, I was 16 years old when the Bucs won the Super Bowl with Sapp and Gruden and Brooks and Keyshawn and McCardell and Pittman and all those guys. And, to me, that was my glory. I was 16 years old. I was a huge Bucs fan. And, I was walking around beating my chest. And guess what? At the face of it, you will always remember that Sports Illustrated cover with John Gruden and Warren Sapp on the front of it.
Yep, you sure will. Always. When he was coming to town, you will always remember that. It's a shame of getting taken off the Ring of Honor, but I understand it. I do. I get it. I understand it. At the end of the day,
and guess what? God forbid, Peter says something stupid one day.
Well, Peter's not going to say anything stupid.
Well, I understand. I'm saying hypothetically. God forbid, Peter says something stupid one day. Guess what? Certain people are going to be like, "Oh, he shouldn't have said that." But then you're going to have people like me that's going to be on here and be like, "Hey, fucking say that shit again." Excuse my French. Say it again. That's because certain things bother certain people. We live in a very, very sensitive world.
Yeah.
All right, man. I appreciate it. As always, Curtis killing it.
Oh, yeah.
With the call. Definitely stay tuned here. We got Turnbuckle Talk coming up here in just a little bit.
Wait for that. I can't wait.
I know. I'll give you a third call, too. I'll give everybody a third call tonight because I know about wrestling.
You definitely know I'm calling back.
All right. Appreciate you, Curtis. I love my callers. Larry, it's been a great time as always.
Thank you.
Go ahead and promote what you do once again here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television.
You bet. Yeah. So I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist with Best Hope Counseling. We have we provide counseling services in Minnesota and Florida. In Minnesota, I do have an in-person location. So if you're living in Minnesota and you are a current or professional athlete who needs help with, whether it's a fair recovery, whether it's men's issues, whether it's a fair recovery, or it's just relationships in general, right? Please contact me. Love to be able to help you. The other thing that I help a lot of folks with is just career life transitions, right? Let's say you play for the Bucs and now you got traded to the Vikings, right? Or vice versa, whatever like that, right? Like I can kind of help you walk through some of that process as far as like to help you kind of get readjusted to that new area, the new system, the new cities, obviously. So yeah, I mean, I'm here for you guys. Again, and so I'm a relationship and individual therapist and love to be of service. And so my number is 727-946-1346, 727-946-1346. And the website is www.besthopecounseling.com. And thanks so much. Been a pleasure.
Absolutely. And I got one final question for you after you promoted yourself. Who's going to need more counseling after the prediction that Justin Jefferson made of his top 5 quarterbacks and left Kirk Cousins off of that? Is it going to be Cousins or Jefferson?
That's a great question. Boy, they probably both need it.
They're probably going to both need that. Kirk Cousins is going to need it. You like that, don't you, Larry?
I do.
Time here on the Evolution. All right, my friend.
Thanks so much. Take care. I appreciate it.
Good stuff there. Larry Baumgartner of Best Hope Counseling. Let's go out to a break. And when we come back, Ralph Williams, he's been so patient there, the bodyguard of the Berg. We will talk about Turnbuckle Talk, WWE action, AEW action. Keep it locked here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television.
uwager.lv, sportsbook, and casino. Sign up today at uwager.lv, the premier online sportsbook, taking wagers since 1998. The most player-friendly lines, weekly juice specials, and a true dime line in MLB. Unique casino platforms with thousands of games. Play poker, high stakes, low stakes, or tournament play. uwager.lv, what we offer. Free same-day payouts. Customer service and wagering support, 24/7, year-round. Free monthly rebates on your action and daily casino rebates. Contests, free bets, best bonuses, and giveaways. Generous referral program. Get an 80% free play bonus on your first deposit, up to $1,000. Sign up today, and use promo code SPORTSWEB. Remember, you can't win if you don't play.
Are you an athlete or professional struggling with life or career transition? Life isn't always easy, but hope is always present. Best Hope Counseling will help you move forward. For nearly a decade, licensed marriage and family therapist Larry Baumgartner has helped clients empower change and discover solutions using a solution-focused therapy approach. Conversations will focus on what you desire to change, not just the problems that brought you into counseling. From anger to depression or other emotions, Best Hope Counseling is there for you. Contact Larry personally on his direct line at 727-946-1346. Again, 727-946-1346 for a telehealth appointment in Florida and Minnesota, or in person an appointment in Minnesota. Take time out and begin your game plan to reconnect, rebuild, and restore happiness in your life. BestHopeCounseling.com. All right, welcome back to the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. We're about to move into Turnbuckle Talk. Let me read the rest of these comments, and then we will get out to Ralph Williams. Hey, Peter Blake, what's going on? Jason,
oh, yeah.
Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. He referred to his head of the Players Union, DeMaurice Smith, as a DeMaurice Smith, and said his lips are the size of Michelin tires. Then he said the Rams shouldn't be drafting. That's beyond woke or not woke. Agree with you, Two Giants. Snyder is gone too. Absolutely. Two Giants again. If you don't chastise people who vocalize ignorance and bigotry, all you accomplish is encouraging the next person to do it. Great. Ron says, well said, Curtis. Ron, again, I agree, brother. Jim, John Gruden needs to apologize. Did he apologize? He is not. Jeremiah says, do they make custom creamsicle jerseys? They do. Absolutely.
Ooh,
Great question.
yeah.
Shadow, let's go out to Jim. Again, John Gruden's family coast is my hometown, Dayton, Ohio. There's some questionable people out there here with race, and he crossed the line. I didn't hear no apologies. Ron says, I see what you mean, Jim. And Ron again, I love to see traditional orange unis and more. We all do. That question is up. If you want to get on the phone lines, we're going to go into our wrestling talk, but you can still talk about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. As always, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. The other number, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. Got a little intro here from my buddy Ralph Williams, so let me see if I can get this on here.
Will you dropped the ball?
What is your name?
Will you dropped the ball?
Is Mr. Ralph Williams, the bodyguard of the Berg, newest Pittsburgh radio personality here on the Evolution, as we get you ready for Turnbuckle Talk here, talking WWE action, AEW action, all things professional wrestling. But I got to ask you, what do you think about the creamsicle jerseys with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Welcome back to the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, my friend.
Oh, thank you for having me on, Peter. I think that, they should just do them like one game, here and there, as like spare uniforms and just stick with the colors they have. I like the colors they have now. I always, back in the day, the creamsicle was nice. The Steelers here, they've tried to get into some different things. They had those jailbird looking uniforms and things like that. People really didn't like them, but, again, I like the creamsicle as well, but, one or two games at a time for special occasions like Monday Night Football or something like that. That's a good idea.
Absolutely special occasions. And let's talk about Friday Night SmackDown there, where the tribal chief was on trial. Metzler said that went a little bit long and they had to cut the whole show down. But they had one of their highest ratings. So what did you think of that whole situation? It looked like he was going to hand it over, the passing of the torch to Jey Uso. And then Greco low blow, WCW's old formula there with Ric Flair always giving everybody a Greco low blow. So what did you think of that whole segment?
I thought it was great. I mean, if it brings ratings, why not? I mean, the ratings at Fox have been down for a while. Fox was even thinking about pulling out because they said the contract said that they were supposed to have X amount of ratings and X amount of money was to be accumulated. And at one point, Fox was talking about pulling SmackDown off the air. So now it looks like things are starting to get better, and we'll see where this goes with Fox and SmackDown.
All right, another thing here with Grayson Waller. Of course, he made an appearance at the last pay-per-view there at the O2 Arena. Of course, John Cena came out. Waller said they should have WrestleMania in Australia. He got a big he's definitely over. I mean, he's a heel right now, and they're definitely promoting him. What did you think about that match with him and Edge the other night?
Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. Edge is on the final term of his the final end of his contract. I don't think he's going to come back. I know he wanted to take out Judgment Day. He said that was the last thing he was going to do before he retires. I don't see that happening. If it was going to happen, he would have formed his own group and went after Judgment Day. He hasn't done that, and I think that Edge needs to go out and just retire. He's ran his second course like some other folks that we're doing right now. Like Trish Stratus is running her second course, and there's some other folks that have done the same thing.
Do you put the title on him because you know that he's basically going out? And you want to go out in a blaze of glory, right?
Yeah.
Term there. I believe from Young Guns too. I think that's a song from Your Blaze of Glory. You put the title on him somehow. I mean, how do you have Edge, who would be one of the most underappreciated superstars in wrestling history, not only WWE history? How does he go out into the sunset?
Well, yeah, if you want him to go out as a winner, you have him as the champ for a little bit. Look at Goldberg. Remember when he was the champ for a little while, and I thought he was going to hold on to it. The Rock only held on to it for a week, maybe 2 weeks after he beat John Cena. He had an injury or something. Goldberg only held it for like a month, the Universal title. I think the next pay-per-view he lost it. And, I've seen, John Cena lose some titles right away and things like that. So, guys that are going to retire, let them have their little blaze of glory. I would like to see Edge do that as well.
All right, good stuff there. Let me go out to Dave Metzler. He says they still have an idea that if they get beat by a star, you're seen as a bigger star because you're in the ring with them. And depending on how the match works, sometimes that's the case. I was surprised Waller wrestled because I didn't think he would be back that soon. And, of course, Waller was out of action for months recovering from an injury, but has been hosting his Grayson Waller effect. And it kind of goes back to old school, right? You do the Piper's Pit, you do Y2J, you do all these segments, and that's when and a lot of people thought, I'm trying to think of the wrestler at the time who used to come out and sing Walk with Elias, that he was going to be on that trajectory as a...
He's from Pittsburgh, by the way.
Well, there you go.
Nice.
They never put him over. He never got over.
Never.
You think when that organization does that, they have big things in store. Is that what you see with Grayson Waller?
Yeah, absolutely, Peter. We've talked about this before. I've talked about it on Wrestle Talk as well. They don't seem to know WWE what to do with some of these wrestlers. They bring them up from NXT, and then they end up floating their boat, or whatever. They don't seem to be able to do anything with them or put them in any kind of creative position to succeed, which, of course, a lot of that has happened in both the WWE and the AEW as well. And I've seen it happen too many times. WWE, if they're going to bring these wrestlers up from NXT, they need to start putting them into some creative base here and get them to succeed and get them up there and doing some things. I know there's, there's some seniority there, guys have been around a long time and things like that. But, and start doing some different kind of matches. I'm tired of the same old stuff all the time. I've said that many times.
Well, you're absolutely correct about that. Now, Waller was definitely in news today and all this week. He said on Twitter, the biggest debut in Madison Square Garden since that bloke who wore the cringe tassels. Ralph, who is he talking about? Because I'll tell you who he's talking about in a moment. But who do you think he's talking about when he said cringe tassels? Debut.
Probably talking about that Pretty Deadly. They seem to have some kind of skimpy uniform or whatever.
No, he's actually talking about Mr. Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, and The Rock.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He says, man, you're right. That outfit was so cringe. Here's what's more cringe. The fact that you look and sound like a dropped out of some jabroni's balloon knot. Nice haircut, you Outback jack-off.
Oh, my.
And my cringe debut outfit was all Triple H's idea. Smiley face. So do we think that The Rock will be coming back sometime soon here? Not only to face possibly Roman Reigns, maybe take the title, but I think it's still going to be Cody. But does he come back and for this kid?
I think he comes back, fights Roman Reigns, teach him a little bit of a lesson for the family. The Rock, he needs to make as much money as he can. XFL lost $60 million this first season, so he's going to have to do something. He has a family, and things like that. And I know $60 million. I tell you what, Peter, maybe to him that's not a lot of money, but to folks like us, if we lost that kind of money, I think I'd be sick. You know what I mean? Well, but he needs the money, and WWE needs the popularity right now. I'm tired of seeing Brock Lesnar. I'm tired of seeing some of these guys. It's time for, to have The Rock come in, maybe, work a couple matches, like one against Roman Reigns, and then maybe a rematch against Reigns or something, something like that to teach him a lesson. I keep hearing stories about Rikishi and Sika are supposed to step in and try to fix this bloodline situation. Haven't seen anything yet. It's coming, I hear, but I don't know when.
How do you think that match will go off with Jey Uso and Roman Reigns? I mean, can Jey be a superstar in your opinion without Jimmy and the Usos? Can he get over as a superstar? Can they set that match up where they make Jey look so good that basically eventually they're going to break up the Usos and make him a single superstar? Or do you think they do some type of squash match where Roman Reigns goes over big on him?
If they're going to have Jey Uso as a singles wrestler, they need to do something with him. He is popular based on the fact that, the tag team division, the Usos have 7 or 8 or 9 time champions, things like that. Their popularity has always been big. Jimmy Uso's contract is about to run out. He wants to go to Impact to be with his wife, Trinity. I don't blame him if that's the case. So Jey Uso's going to be by himself. I can't really see him being a champion, but if they decide to go in that direction just to make some kind of storyline out of it, I'm in favor of it.
Well, to me, and we're on with Ralph Williams, bodyguard of the Berg, newest Pittsburgh personality. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, here on Turnbuckle Talk.
Hey, Peter, I have a quick question for you. How's this sound here? I got some new equipment I'm working with tonight. I wanted to test it on your show.
I got a little bit of feedback there for some reason. A little bit. So, but that's okay. That's what we do here on streaming.
Yeah, I'm testing some new equipment I have here. So I just want to.
It's good. Congratulations on the new equipment, my friend. I hope the radio show is great. I know
it is going well. It's going very well.
Good.
1,214 views last week.
Hey, great job, man. Great job.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
On Facebook.
With that being said, if they put the belt on Jey, does that take away from the possible main event from Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns? Because to me, at the end of it, you got to keep the belt on Roman. You got to finish the storyline. And if you truly are going to make Cody a face that is up there, you've got to do it that way at WrestleMania. So you can't take the belt off of Roman Reigns. What do you say?
Well, probably not, but you know what? Eventually, sooner or later, Roman Reigns wants to go into acting, and that could happen as well. Although he keeps saying he's going to stay on in wrestling, I don't know how much more his body can handle it. I know he's recovered a few times. He's got a big family. I heard he has 5 kids. He wants to get back to his family, and he can go into movies and spend more time with his family than he can in wrestling. You know what they say, 350 days every year. So it's almost everybody. So, he's too much away from his family at times. That's why he is a part-time wrestler right now. But if he wants to really be a family man, he'll take that Hollywood job in a minute, and he can make more money in Hollywood and do less work. Why do you think Rock and all them do that?
Yeah, you're absolutely correct about that. I'm trying to check the audio here. I don't know what's going on. Stand by. There we go. I actually think that's on your end.
Yeah, it could be. I have to fix this mixer here. This is the first time I've used it.
Okay, all right. So we'll try.
It's a Zoom podcast 4. It's that little mini mixer you can mic up, and then I have a Shure mic here. So usually the Shure mics are good.
I gotcha. All right. Let's see.
And I got that Rhoda mic like you have.
Well, there you go. We'll go out to Jeremiah. I haven't seen any custom creamsicle ads that's online. I asked where I would get one. Absolutely. Jeremiah says, I want a Shadow 4. You should get that, my friend.
Yeah.
And Harry Berg, Harry the Greek, tuning in right now. Oh, my God, Dick Butkus. I bet Dick the Bruiser laugh out loud.
This guy sucks.
I tell you what, let's go back out to the phone lines here. A guy that loves Turnbuckle Talk, one of our main callers. Curtis using a third call tonight because I allowed it. Welcome to the evolution of sports talk television.
You know I can't help myself when it comes to wrestling.
I know, man. I know you're a big-time wrestling fan. You're one of the fans we do this for. So go ahead. What's on your mind?
So I would love to see Jey beat Roman at SummerSlam. I would like to see that happen. I would like Roman to take a break. Maybe come back at the Royal Rumble. Win the Royal Rumble again. Him and Jey having a title match at the Elimination Chamber.
Mm-hmm.
Then the whole Tribal Chief thing starts over again. After elimination. Then you go into him and The Rock at WrestleMania.
And see, my thing is you got to keep the belt on Roman Reigns. You got to keep it on there because if you're going to put Cody Rhodes over and finish this supposed storyline, because that's what we heard, then you got to do it right. And if you take it off of Roman Reigns, then does it really mean as much if Cody wins it at WrestleMania in Detroit or Philadelphia?
I think Cody and Seth is a better match.
And see I don't see that happening. I just don't see them going in that direction. What do you say here, Ralph? Do you think that they would go with Cody and over a Cody and a Roman Reigns?
I like the Cody Roman Reigns matchup, but I'll take a Seth Roman Reigns matchup also. That would be a great match for a pay-per-view. It would draw a whole lot of folks. I think it would be something great. Seth's not a bad matchup with Roman Reigns. They know each other from when they were in the Shield, and I like right now Seth is hot. So I mean, why not?
We could get Seth as Survivor Series this year.
Yeah, that could happen as well. And then you know what else could happen at Survivor Series? You could have Seth against Roman Reigns because they always have the battle of the brands. At Survivor Series.
Absolutely.
You have your Intercontinental title against your U.S. title, and then you have the two champions, and then the two women's champions. That happens all.
Can we please take the U.S. title off of Austin Theory?
That's happening. That's going to happen.
Well, I think it's definitely. I definitely think it's going to happen for him. Right. I'll tell you what, really quick here. Hold on a second. Let me just remove the audio from you. Okay, can you hear me okay? Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. It sounds better now, whatever you just did.
Yeah, I had to take him out because I guess we're getting feedback and everything like that, and hopefully you can get it fixed. But to go back to what you're saying, Austin Theory, they promoted him and they put him over when you bring out John Cena and you have him go over, and then ever since he's been, stagnant. You haven't really seen anything from him. So
no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And I like where Riddle's going right now. I like Riddle. A lot of people don't like Riddle. I like Riddle.
I like Riddle too, but off the mat stuff. I mean, there's a lot of what I'm talking about. There's some distractions there.
I know exactly and it's like Drew McIntyre. I would love to see Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins.
Yeah,
love to see it.
Right,
that'd be a great match.
Exactly.
Now, I am super interested in this whole Damian Priest Finn Balor thing because this thing is going to blow up.
Well, it's definitely going to blow up, but they actually had some type of argument between Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, the Judgment Day. They were having an argument because they didn't like how the match was being presented or something. So they're already arguing backstage, both of those wrestlers, all those wrestlers. So I don't know how that's all going to play out, but definitely the Judgment Day is breaking up. Finn Balor and Damian Priest.
AEW will be here August 2nd.
Yes, and also WWE is coming into town a couple weeks, July 24th, and it was announced that Logan Paul, Jake's brother, who I got a chance to meet, I met Jake and Logan, giving out my information. He's supposed to make an appearance. So
I'm super excited because I really want to go to the AEW event.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a lot of people who want to go. I guess we're having some technical issues there with Ralph. I don't know what's going on with the new equipment, but sometimes that's how it goes, So hopefully he can fix it. If not, we'll have to get him on next week. Let me ask you this, because we kind of touched upon this, and this was kind of put out there, and I'll keep you on the phone for a minute. But Bleacher Report said the WWE is hotter now than it has ever been before. And that includes the Attitude Era of the late 90s. Even with Austin 316, the New World Order, The Rock, and everything else, Dave Metzler said this on the Wrestling Observer Radio. Attendance is way up. It's been big on cable, even in the Attitude Era, but it was big on cable. It wasn't beating the top network shows. It wasn't even close, but now, it is. It's crazy. And people want to say that somehow this isn't hot. It is still hot. It's the hottest wrestling it's been since 2001. That's 22 years, and people may look back and go, oh, they were doing 3 million viewers not that many years ago. Although TV's changed, they certainly weren't doing these crowds on a regular basis like they are now.
You also have more access to wrestling nowadays.
Right.
You can go anywhere pretty much and watch wrestling nowadays.
Correct.
And I'm going to tell you something. A lot of us kids that grew, not even kids, teenagers, adults, whatever, that grew up in the Attitude Era, we had our children watching wrestling, and they are still adapting to wrestling to this day. You know what I'm saying? And then a lot of these kids grew up watching John Cena. He was the superhero for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wanted to be, everybody was you either loved John Cena or you hated the guy. That's like the Undertaker. I am a huge Undertaker fan. Love the Taker.
Yeah.
Anytime he wrestled, even though he was an old man, I'm like, man, I gotta watch the Undertaker, man. You know?
Yeah. Agree. Agree. And I think we got Ralph. Did we got you, Ralph?
Yeah, I'm back. Go ahead.
All right.
How do I sound?
You sound okay.
Wrestling, listen, wrestling is big today because wrestling is everywhere. You see these wrestlers everywhere. They're at celebrity sports games. They're on regular TV. They're on ESPN. These guys are everywhere nowadays. And then when you see them somewhere, like people who don't normally watch wrestling, they see them somewhere, they look them up and find out he's a wrestler. They tune into wrestling to see what this guy does on wrestling.
Yeah.
And listen, I was watching the history of the WWE, and a lot of the wrestling promoters back then was upset about Vince McMahon, just moving in on every territory.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? He was an innovator. You could say what you want about the guy. He was an innovator, and he took an idea and he ran with it, and you have the most dominant wrestling brand that we probably will ever have in our lifetime.
I agree. So I can't see how this would ever rival. And I get it. There's great things going on right now. The ratings are pretty good, but I just don't see how it would ever rival the Attitude Era. It's never going to. No.
It's only because of the access that you have to it now. The social media, the internet. I mean, come on, how big? Okay, we all know how big supposedly, this generation says LeBron James is the greatest.
Sure.
A lot of these kids didn't get to watch Michael. A lot of these kids didn't. There was no social media when Michael Jordan was around.
Right.
They didn't have access to what they have access to now. If they had access to the stuff they had then that they have now, people would still be talking about LeBron who.
Right. Exactly.
Austin and The Rock and Mankind and Kane and the Big, those guys, they were here before cell phones were big.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you couldn't do any of that stuff. But nowadays you can watch wrestling on a flight.
Yes.
You can watch wrestling anywhere.
Yes.
And you can be tuned into these guys every day of the week if you want to. There's always, and he has those great documentaries on wrestlers right now.
Of course, The Dark Side of the Ring, which is on Vice. It's amazing.
Great.
It's amazing.
That stuff is great.
Yeah.
I remember they had the documentary on the Shield. I learned a lot about Seth and Dean and Roman. Those guys
paid their dues. They definitely paid their dues. Let me go back out to Ralph here. Ralph, you good?
Yeah, I'm good now. How's this?
This is great. All right.
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you now. So we were talking about it, and this has been mentioned, by this outlet and Bleacher Report and Dave Metzler saying that the era of wrestling now is going to rival the Attitude Era. In fact, it's as hot or hotter than the Attitude Era. Ralph, what do you think?
I believe that's the case. I agree with Curtis. Wrestlers are everywhere. And I got to tell you, if you work for AEW, you can work all over the place. I've seen guys from AEW here for independent matches that are some of our independent groups here in Pittsburgh. And we have a lot of them right now, and I had an independent wrestler on, Eric Johnson from one of our, in McKeesport, PA, from one of our independent organizations here in Pittsburgh. And I tell you, it's bigger and better than ever. Wrestling as a whole is bigger and better than ever. And people will come out for it. I work security for ROH here in Pittsburgh, and we always filled the house up. Even, it was a small place, but we still filled it.
I think it's good now, but I think what Curtis is saying is there's so many other outlets to catch it. So it's
there is.
I mean, all right, I'll tell you what, let's go out to this guy. You won't believe he wants to get on Turnbuckle Talk. So let's go ahead and get his intro on. Here we go.
Oh, Harry the Greek. There he is.
Harry the Greek on Turnbuckle Talk.
Hey, did you ever get your luggage back, Harry?
Look at you flexing here with your Chicago White Sox shirt on. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, Harry, you do have a good in-ring name already, Harry the Greek.
That's what I'm saying. You could be like
when you identify to me, sir, like everybody else can be identified, I identify as the Greek.
Oh, shut up.
Harry the Greek.
I just want to put a Vader mask on you and then let you go to the ring. How about that?
He doesn't know anything you're talking about. He thinks you're talking about Darth Vader, not Big Van Vader. That's what he. That's.
I know the Vader. He's down
Oh, shut up. You know, just don't even say it.
Shut up!
All right, Curtis, what else?
Is it Dark Vader or Darth Vader?
No, it's Van Vader.
Here we go. It's just, listen.
Masturbator, Vader Vader.
For me, when I was a kid, I specifically remember my babysitter. She used to be upstairs watching her soap opera. And her husband used to be in the basement watching wrestling. Wrestling was and that's what he told me. Wrestling was his soap opera.
That's it.
It's what it is.
It's a soap opera on steroids.
Exactly. And I'm sorry. It's just like, the people that love to watch anime. You love to watch people get beat up.
That's right. You watch movies all the time. You watch Transformers, which this guy right here watched Transformers tonight.
Yes, I did.
Did you know the ending of the movie? Most likely not, but you watched it. Was it
Fast and the Furious 25 will be out next?
Of course. None of that was real.
About that. That wasn't good.
It was good. It was entertaining. That's the point.
The next Fast and the Furious, they're going to take the Earth into the Mars.
Shut up.
This guy sucks.
It's all about family.
It's
all about family.
Don't start, Harry.
Hey, Vin Diesel wouldn't have a job if he didn't. If it wasn't for Fast and the Furious.
Vin Diesel should have died like a couple movies.
5.6.
Man, all I can remember is Vin Diesel from The Pacifier. That's all I remember. Man.
I remember Vin Diesel in probably one of the most greatest movies, most underrated movie. And if you're a sales associate of any kind, you need to watch a movie called Boiler Room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something.
Yeah.
That is by far one of the best shows.
Yes.
One of the best movies you'll ever watch.
It is.
Absolutely.
Of course, next to
I agree with you on that, Harry. That's
AWE. I mean AEW.
Oh, you shut up and be quiet.
This guy sucks.
What are you doing calling on wrestling?
What do you mean calling, bro? I'm live, baby. You're looking at the Greek.
That's the Greek right there. We got Ralph Williams on. It's the Sports Web live here on Turnbuckle Talk. Curtis,
we have a guy here.
I thought it was.
We have a guy here that says he's live and dangerously local. That's the guy we have here.
Oh God! All right,
aren't we doing the over under? Wasn't it?
No, well, we're doing that eventually. When you come on here, instead of watching Transformers more than meets the eye, when you come on the Sports Web, we'll do some picks, my friend. So
well, I don't mind doing that, Pete. But
yeah, I know you got some shekels. You ready to win?
Hey, Harry! I just want to ask you, Harry. Who did you pick to win the home run derby?
Yeah, who did you pick? Did you bet on that?
You know what? I just knew that Pete Alonso wasn't going to win it this year, and I got to be honest with you, man. What a sweet swing! But here's the funny part. I'm playing in a poker tournament over at TGT, which is Tampa Bay Downs. That's the one in Oldsmar over at the horse track on a Monday night. There's a couple hundred players in the tournament, and I was like, hey, turn on the home run derby. They got it like on every TV. And I'm cracking jokes, with people from all over, and they're rooting for different baseball players. And I was like, look, man, I'm a huge White Sox fan. Wait till you see this guy, Luis Robert. He's going to hit 25 plus homers his first round. I says, and then he's going to go on the IL. They're like, you're full of crap. Number one, he didn't play in the All-Star game, and he's going to go on the 2-week IL. He pulled a hamstring swing in the baseball bat, I swear to you.
Oh, my.
And by the way, he lost to Randy Arozarena with Randy Arozarena going to the finals. Just saying it right there. Curtis, thanks a lot for the call. As always, my friend, you killed it tonight, all right? Woo! Good stuff. All right, so I got to ask you here, Harry, because I know you came on to talk some wrestling. What have you watched lately? You watched any wrestling lately there, Harry the Greek?
Yeah, I got the Mazzola roller party going on. How about it, Ralph?
All right.
I'm kidding you. No, have I watched any wrestling? No, I did watch a couple of highlights with things. I couldn't tell you who their names are, but it was like pretty cool.
We're going to sit down and watch some wrestling together when you do this Turnbuckle Talk again, okay? But I got to ask you, because you covered this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team, what do you think about the video today, the presentation, and the revealing of the creamsicle by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
I love it.
23.
I'm not kidding you. I wish that Tampa Bay Buccaneers would actually just go back to the creamsicle
all year.
Oh, I would love it, man. Absolutely would love it. It's so nostalgic. It's what Tampa Bay represented. I mean, and I wish the old sombrero was still around just to play one game in it. I don't want every game for that because
Oh,
that place was like an oven. Forget
Hold on a
about it.
minute. Yeah, it is. It is an oven, and it's an oven at Raymond James Stadium. Damn it, Jim. Thanks a lot for the call. You're on with yours truly, along with the Greek, Harry the Greek, and of course the bodyguard of the Berg, Ralph Williams. What do you have to say, my friend?
Bodyguard.
Hey, is Bad Bunny a wrestler?
You what?
Is Bad Bunny a wrestler?
Is who's
Yes, he is part-time.
Bad Bunny.
Oh, Bad Bunny. Yes, he is.
Yeah, he's part-time wrestler.
Did you guys just ask Bad Bunny? Like
Bad Bunny is
yes, Bad Bunny.
Here, let me Google him for a minute.
Yeah, you should. Well, he did put on a great match versus Damian Priest. You shut up, Harry, doing that. See, Harry's doing his research off air there. But yes, Bad
correction. Bad Bunny is a Spanish DJ, not a wrestler. I was just informed.
Well,
no, he's a part-time wrestler.
He's a part-time wrestler too.
I'm just saying, man. The guy's
just like Logan Paul is.
He's an artist. He's an artist, and that's why that's the point.
Oh, that's the same guy?
Same guy.
Yes.
He's a disc jockey and a wrestler.
Yeah, he is. Yes.
Oh, you see, Nick, you're right. Yeah. Nick the Greek.
I'm a disc jockey and a sports talk show host too. So I am.
Yeah, Jim. So what do you think about Bad Bunny?
Oh man, I just want to know if he was a wrestler. I didn't know what he really was.
He's a good wrestler, actually. He did a good job
at
WrestleMania in Tampa. He put on a great match there. He did the Canadian Destroyer, which you got to see that. Go Google that, kids, or YouTube. And Jim, and then also put on a great match versus Damian Priest just about a month ago. So
what is he, a high flyer?
Oh, he's a high flyer. He can do all kinds of moves, and he's like 100 and what would you say, Ralph? About 150 pounds?
Yes, about 150. Yes,
150 pounds. He's a high flyer, but he could do some pretty devastating moves for a guy who wrestled a lot. Triple H said he's far too good for his own good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you got to check him out.
Yeah, so you think Rock gonna come make an appearance, y'all?
What now?
You think the Rock is gonna make an appearance?
I think eventually he will. I think he has to come back, and like Ralph said, WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia, you certainly think he would definitely make some type of appearance or before then. And then now with what's going on with Grayson Waller, it certainly seems like they're trying to set up something for this kid. And for him, and that's the way you do it. That's the vehicle. You put a veteran in there, you put a veteran against the guy, you have a good wrestling match, and then eventually Grayson Waller is a superstar. That's how you do it.
I don't like this guy. I'm reading on him.
Which guy?
Oh, Bad Bunny.
Yeah.
You got to watch his match. He's a good match. He even did a song about Booker T. So that's not, and Booker T is a very underappreciated superstar. Yep, Booker T. Damn it, Jim. What else?
I'm not a fan of him.
Oh, shut up! You don't even know who he is.
No, Bad Bunny. I'm not a fan of.
Oh, you're not a fan of Bad Bunny. Why?
I'll tell you later.
Okay. All right. He's just saying nonsense at this point. I mean,
no, I'm reading it.
Oh, okay. All right, Jim. What else?
Bad Bunny's different. I know he is, but anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Rock, man. What was I saying? Oh yeah, he got associated with the Buccaneers because him and Warren Sapp played together.
Yes, they did.
College football. And Warren Sapp kind of took his job because he got hurt.
Well, that's very true. That is correct. That is absolutely correct. He did play at the University of Miami, and at the time he was out with an injury, and Warren Sapp did take his job. That is correct. Yes.
Yeah. So and then they was watching wrestling in the I guess in back when Warren Sapp was playing, and somebody told him to come watch this, and he couldn't believe he seen the Rock doing his thing on TV. Man, I missed it there.
Yeah,
go back and watch that instead of this new stuff. I don't know.
So
I gotta watch some more of the new stuff.
You prefer the older era than the new era right now. Well, see, you got to watch, Jim. You got to watch the new era, and then you tune in next week and you talk to us about it on Turnbuckle Talk on Wednesday nights. All right.
I think I'm gonna go to that SmackDown and come around here today.
All right, that's what you do. You tell me, you give me the analysis of SmackDown. You come back next week and we'll talk about it. Damn it, Jim. Thanks a lot for calling. All right, my friend.
All right, y'all take it easy.
All right, man. Appreciate the call. I love that guy.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's go back out to the comments here. Jeremiah says, Peter, let me know how I can get the forename as Shadow. I just go online, I guess. Get it done, Shadow. Sandra Nagel says, watching the best sports talk show in the Tampa Bay area with 1252 Chicago Sports Entertainment. Ralph Williams, like the Chicago White Sox, I agree. Creamsicle. You have to ask Peter about the game at Tampa Bay Bucs or Tampa Bay Rays on the field. Tampa Bay
Thank
Rays.
you, Sandra.
She's talking in the background. She's writing me on the show, and she's talking to me in the background. You got to love it. I love my mom. She definitely supports the show.
There you go.
And she's one of the main
Thank you.
reasons why I'm a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan. Tell you what, we'll finish out with this here from Kevin Nash, who's been very critical, Ralph and Harry, of LA Knights. He said some things that LA Knight is, basically, doing his best impression of The Rock and Stone Cold. Comes out this week on his Click This podcast and said, there's so many people that agree that LA is doing the Rock Austin thing. I mean, the guy's been in the business for like 10 years. I mean, why didn't he get over anywhere else? I've always said that if you're not over in 3 years, it's just not probably going to happen. I would go down to NXT. I'd ask a guy, how long have you been here? And he would be like 4 years, 5 years. And this was before NXT had its own show. These guys were in developmental for 3 or 4 or 5 years. He also says later on in the podcast, I never seen the guy work. I just said what I said. But then when I thought about it after the show was over, anytime you bash one of the boys, I don't know him, but he's still one of the boys. Anytime you bash one of them, I don't know. But, worst case scenario is that somebody will say, I bashed him. And then he's over. And then the people will be like, well, we like him anyway. And they'll push him harder. Well, we'll show you. And the people will get what they want from him. Somebody said, like, once again, these old wrestlers are holding back. We're holding them down as much as you're sitting living room getting them pushed. I know you think you guys count. You don't. Okay. I do know is when I asked to pick somebody, I said Damian Priest, and lo and behold, that's who won Money in the Bank. We talked about it last week. I guess I'm not out of it as it appears. Kevin Nash, once again, Ralph, being very critical of LA Knight. But you go back to Kevin Nash's career, and you could do some research on this, Harry. It took him forever to get over because he had so many terrible gimmicks. So is it fair to say that LA Knight has had not the best gimmicks, not worked for the best wrestling organizations, and right now he is over with the fans?
Yes, he is. And I got to tell you this. I remember when he was in Impact and TNA and he was Eli Drake. He was a good wrestler. He was a champion. Okay. Came to NXT, was down there for a little bit. Now he's up here. And as we said earlier in the show, Peter, again, WWE don't know what to do with him. And now they finally got his popularity up to where everyone's cheering for him at this point. So we're going to find out what happens. But I like LA Knight. I liked him when he was Eli Drake, especially when he used to say, you big dummy, or he used to call people dummies. And he had that show down there in Impact. And, now I can't watch Impact actually because it's on Access TV and you got to pay for it, and I'm not paying for it. So I watch it on YouTube.
I got to ask you, Harry, because I know you don't watch wrestling, but I mean.
I might. I just seen this Harley Cameron and this Jamie Hayter and Jade Cargill. And,
well, there you go.
Yeah.
Hikaru,
go.
oh my
AEW.
God. And
AEW, but
Hikaru Shida. Oh my God.
Let me ask you something, Harry. Let me say.
Ask me anything you want. Just get these girls on my show, and I'm all good.
We'll try to work on that, Greek, if you don't mess it up. With that being said, what would you think about a performer imitating somebody else? I mean, is that right? Is it right to call somebody else out, or do you have to have your own style, or is it just a thing that it just happens when you're dealing with entertainment, especially with professional wrestling, that you're going to take bits and pieces from somebody that you admire and emulate that?
Well, it's okay if you do something like that, but if you want to go full blown, just imitate them.
Yeah,
that's
what Kevin Nash is saying. That's basically
Kevin Nash sucks. Then he can't do that.
Well, he's an older guy, and people are saying, well, he's just like the guy to get off my grass. Now, here's what Jeff Jarrett said. He said there's so many different things that start as something and completely pivot, and that's kind of the recipe to success and adapting as you go. Oh, wow, that didn't work, so let's try that. While I'm talking about LA Knight, when did he start? He's not a young guy. When he worked for TNA, that's 6 years ago. He's 35. They had told me, yeah, he's actually was in WWE developmental, and it didn't work out. And I'm like, that's interesting. Where did I miss this guy? So he's been around. And by osmosis and trial and error, and sometimes the almighty word timing doesn't work out. Sometimes it works perfect. Sometimes it doesn't work perfect at all. Right. But to your point, absolutely everything is inspired in a certain way. The folks that can take a little inspiration here and a little inspiration there and match it up and make it authentic to themselves, then you're just uber successful, but innovators, if you will. Getting into the philosophy, everything starts as a thought. What are our thoughts made of? In a lot of ways, divine inspiration. But thought, it's all kind of what you've seen before and how I could do something a little different. Damn, Jeff Jarrett just broke it down for me. It went deep. We're talking wrestling, and I felt like, I was getting a whole synopsis on life. So, Ralph, your thoughts on Jeff Jarrett? Because a lot of people say when he came out that he was the next Ric Flair, right? He was trying to be Shawn Michaels.
He was acting, yes.
Right.
Yes,
Isn't he the guy that did the woo thing?
Well, Ric Flair did the woo thing.
Ric Flair, he does it. But everybody does it now.
I know that's Rick. Peter does it.
Sure.
Yeah, they imitate him.
We're talking about wrestling here.
Yeah, but you don't understand. People are often imitated, but never duplicated, right, Ralph?
Correct.
Right.
Oh, go ahead, Ralph. What do you think about Jeff Jarrett's comments?
Well, Jeff Jarrett, he's right. Timing is the thing. Let me tell you a little story here real quick before we end. I'll be real quick on this. I was in that kind of boat. I went to broadcasting school in the late 80s and early 90s. And then I didn't get the breaks that everybody else got. I worked as hard as everybody else. Now I'm back in radio, and at the age of 54, and I'm going to be 55 in October. So, why did it take me so long to get here now when it was before? Because I didn't have the breaks. And, sometimes they say luck, it's better to be lucky than good. I just wasn't lucky, but I was good. And, I just didn't get the breaks I needed to get. And it was just, that's what happened.
Very, very similar story to me. Yeah. I worked for two.
And Jeff Jarrett is correct when he says it's timing. And then now the time is here for me to get back into radio, and I'm in it. And that's where we are.
And Harry, it's time for LA Knight to go over at this point. Go ahead.
Yes, exactly.
Talk about your story here, Harry.
Look at Damian Priest. Guys, look at Damian Priest. He's 40 years old. 40 years old. Look at Damian Priest. Okay. Yeah. Look at AJ Styles. Yeah. AJ Styles in his 40s.
Yeah.
Okay. Look how long it took him to get to the WWE. How about Sting? Sting was in it for a minute and then he was gone. Okay. He was never in WWE for that long a period of time. So, a lot of people, it takes them forever to get to the WWE, and it took LA Knight a little bit of time, but he's there.
Terry, go ahead and talk about your story a little bit because you were saying something.
Well, first off, Ralph, you are definitely the poster child for someone that wants to chase what they're doing and actually get to it. You are. And by the way, you do give really great interviews. For those of you that don't know who Ralph Williams is, you really do need to look him up. He handles a really good interview. He controls the mic. He's extraordinary at what he does. I've been on one of his shows before, and it was a pleasure. And very similar to your story, I was just the opposite end of it. I had it all given to me at a very young age. I worked for 2 #1 rated Arbitron radio stations here in the Tampa Bay area, worked for a very small one up in Chicago for a while, and my career was just going to explode. I chose to get out of the industry way back when. And I sometimes wonder and think what would have happened, what could have happened. And I've worked with some of the greatest around here in the Tampa Bay area as well. So Ralph, keep the hustle up, man, because it's right around the corner for you right there.
It is absolutely right around the corner, Ralph. Great stuff, Harry, as always. Now, Jared also.
And thank you, Harry, for that. By the way, I really, it makes me feel great. Thank you.
No,
I really
you give. That. I'm just telling you. I even told Peter the same thing. You give a great interview. You ask spot on questions. You keep everybody. And you keep everybody off guard a little bit. Kind of similar to way I do this, like I'm making fun of the AEW or AWE.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
AW,
And I love doing this. I mean, this is my favorite thing to do. I just like to peek up at you once in a while. Rough.
There you go. We got the Leo shot there. Now, Jared calls out Kevin Nash. He says, Kevin, I read that, and it took me back to being in the car. I could see Kevin Nash saying that riding down the road, and I guarantee you, if he had a couple of tall ones in him, he would shift doing impersonations, and then we would really laugh our ass off. But hats off to LA. They have given him the platform, and when you give a guy who has the look, who's been there at 4 or 5 characters on national TV, whatever it may be, but a seasoned guy versus a guy who's got 3, 4, 5 years in the business, that's where you can immediately tell the difference. So there you go. Good stuff by Jared. We'll wrap it up right there. Ralph, go ahead and give me your final thoughts here on Turnbuckle Talk for the night.
My final thoughts are: I hope that the WWE can get this creative situation straightened out. I'm hoping, praying that Vince McMahon sooner or later walks away. He's already chased his daughter out of the business, and his son-in-law is about to go next. I think he's had a Triple H and Vince are just not getting along, and it's a bad, it's a bad marriage there right now. And so that's my final thoughts for tonight.
All right, and there is talk of an intervention going on between possibly Nick Khan and Triple H talking to Vince so he doesn't do any more creative. Just again, a rumor. We'll see how that all transpires. Bodyguard of the Berg, newest Pittsburgh radio personality, Ralph Williams. Thanks a lot for your time here on Turnbuckle.
Thank you. Have a great one.
Good stuff there. Let's come back here to my co-host, Mr. Harry the Greek. Go ahead and promote yourself, my friend, on the evolution of sports talk television.
Hi.
I hate you.
I'm a nobody.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just that fly on the wall.
Pretty fly for a white guy, is that what you're going to say?
That's it. I tell you what, you can catch me here Monday and Wednesdays right here on the Sports Web, typically, if I'm not playing poker or I'm not watching movies with the wife. But I'll tell you what, it's just around the corner. Football season is back, baby. We're going to start giving out picks live right here on the Sports Web. Got a lot of excited things we want to talk about coming up really soon. Peter, have a really good night. I just wanted to come help you out a little bit and just see what was going on. I just wanted to say hello to everybody out there.
Missed you, brother. As always, Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire of 1252 Chicago Sports. We'll see you next week. Big fan in the background. Mom, she's talking to you. She thinks she's talking to you in the background. She's saying she's glad to see you on here.
I hear, Sandra. We love you, Sandra. And, just make sure that Peter gets something to eat, okay?
Will you shut up and be quiet? I already ate what you eat tonight. By the way, happy wife, happy life. What did you eat for dinner tonight?
What did I have for dinner? I had pasta bolognese.
Oh, very nice.
I also had
Did you swing the bat?
No, didn't swing the bat tonight. What do they call that with tomatoes and cheese, and they got basil on it? A caprese salad. That's also very nice and lovely. I had some freshly baked bread with some extraordinary butter that was like crack. I'm not kidding you. That butter was just unbelievable. And I had a nice little salad. And to finish it off, I had a little creme brulee.
Oh, well, nice. And are you excited about that?
I'm absolutely excited. So, Pete, what did you have for dinner tonight?
What did I have for dinner tonight? I think I had some grilled chicken. I had grilled chicken tonight. That's what I had.
So we're going to talk about what's grilling in the South?
What's grilling? I hate you. All right, brother. Thanks a lot for the time. We'll see you next week. All right.
Hey, man, you take care of yourself. You tell everybody I said hello. Be blessed, and we'll talk to you soon, okay? Got a lot of exciting things coming out. We'll talk to you later.
All right, there you go. Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire of 1252 Chicago Sports. What a great show tonight. All you guys, all you callers, all to the guests and the texters and everybody else, thanks a lot for the support of this great show. Let me go out to Ralph Williams. Sandra Nagel, thank you. Sandra, really appreciate it. She's a fan on the show and in the background, coming to visit. Great show. Thank you, Christopher Cole. Glad you enjoyed it. As always, thanks a lot to all the guests for the night. Mr. Leo Haggerty, former Coach Scout and now media member of Night Sports Productions, Amped Up Sports. Of course, Larry Baumgartner, Hope Counseling. You've got a newest sponsor here on the Evolution. You've got also Jason Powers on Sports podcast. He was on tonight with T-Krause on Spectrum 360. Did a great job there. Ralph Williams, and once again, of course, Harry the Great Professional Handicapper Extraordinaire. If anything breaks with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Tampa Bay Rays, or even the Tampa Bay Lightning, we will be live here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. YouTube Super Chats are open, so give to the cause. Of course, Facebook Stars are open. Like and subscribe to the Sports Web on YouTube, like I Love St. Pete, the Hub, and Amped Up Sports. And do 3 things for me on this Creamsicle Wednesday night. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake, your Rolex reporter. What time is it? It's my time. And for fans of the Sports Web and Tampa Bay sports fans out there, it's your time. Have a great night. And of course, as always, go Bucs. Are you an athlete or professional struggling with life or career transition? Life isn't always easy, but hope is always present. Best Hope Counseling will help you move forward. For nearly a decade, licensed marriage and family therapist Larry Baumgartner has helped clients empower change and discover solutions using a solution-focused therapy approach. Conversations will focus on what you desire to change, not just the problems that brought you into counseling. From anger to depression or other emotions, Best Hope Counseling is there for you. Contact Larry personally on his direct line at 727-946-1346. Again, 727-946-1346 for a telehealth appointment in Florida and Minnesota, or in person an appointment in Minnesota. Take time out and begin your game plan to reconnect, rebuild, and restore happiness in your life. BestHopeCounseling.com.